Could you please bow your heads for invocation by Councilman Clark?
Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to gather here tonight. We ask for the knowledge and guidance as we make these decisions that are best for the future of Diamond Head. Please remind us that we will always need to put the people's interests above our own, and that we are in this position not to be served, but to serve our residents. I pray that over these next couple of years, you keep everyone safe as we are driving through these construction zones, and you bless us with the patience that we will need as these projects are being completed. Amen.
Amen. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Devereaux.
Here.
Councilmember Lacey.
Here.
Councilmember Finley.
Here.
Councilmember Cumberland.
Here.
Councilmember Clark.
Here.
Councilmember Moore.
Here.
The next regularly scheduled, let me skip something here. Could I get a motion to confirm or adjust the agenda?
I have a motion to remove number 15 from consent to action. It has to do with the fire department. I need to excuse myself.
Okay. So we've got a motion on the table by Councilman Clark to move number 15 to the action agenda. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilwoman Lacey. All in favor?
Aye.
I would also like to move from the table 2023-274 and remove it from the agenda altogether.
Okay, so we're going to remove from the agenda 2023-274.
Yes, ma'am.
So do you want to amend your motion to add that also? So we have it in one motion? Okay. So do we have that recorded? Okay. All in favor? Aye. The next regularly scheduled meeting of the City Council will be held on Tuesday, May 21st, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the council chambers located here at 5000 Diamond Head Circle. Tonight we have a proclamation for Better Hearing Month. Dr. Brittany, would you like to come forward? Would you like to say something about? No? Okay. Well, you do a lot of service for the community, and we can't thank you enough. Thank you for what you do.
Yes.
So a proclamation, whereas audiologists in Diamond Head, Mississippi observe and celebrate Better Hearing Month each year during the month of May. And whereas Diamond Head Council recognizes and values the efforts of all the work to eliminate or minimize the isolating effects of communication disorders and the 1 in 5 families affected by them. And whereas our citizens who have overcome communication disability through these services of audiologists are now able to lead independent, productive, and fulfilling lives. And whereas our veterans are returning home from service with the main medical complaint of tinnitus, okay, I'm sorry, and hearing loss as the second most common complaint, and audiologists are diagnosing and helping our veterans. And whereas Diamond Head is proud and honored to have audiologists offering quality education and healthcare services to its citizens. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed, the Mayor and Council of the great city of Diamond Head, Mississippi, do proclaim May 2024 as Better Hearing Month. And we encourage all the citizens to recognize the achievements of the audiologist in improving the quality of life for people with communication disorders. Thank you. I know how much you volunteer in the community, so we thank you very much for what you do.
Thank you.
You want to come up and get a photo
Sure.
and get your proclamation?
Photographer for the day is city attorney. Just be on your bill. All right, y'all ready? 1, 2, 3. Tammy is better, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are also going to be proclaiming Brain Cancer Awareness Month for the month of May, but we are going to wait for the recipient to get here. She is also receiving this at the Bay St. Louis City Council meeting. So with that, we're going to move on to Cody Canaan and Mr. Billy Owen with MDOT on an update on the projects.
Good evening. How are y'all?
Good evening.
Thank you. I'm assuming everybody's just here to see us, right? Okay. So I'm going to do my best to address a few questions and answers that I have that have already been submitted to me. But first off, hope everybody's doing well. Good to see y'all again. I know we stood here not too long ago and talked about my upcoming role that I'm now in, right, with MDOT, and introducing Mr. Billy Owens as his new role. Has been off to a great start and busy with MDOT as the new engineer. So the project for I-10 widening and Diamond hadn't quite got kicked off at that point, but here we are a couple months in, and obviously things are happening and progress is moving, and change is sometimes difficult, but as we get through that process, we'll be better in the end. So I know that I'm going to do my best, like I said, to answer some of the things that have already been submitted and try to hopefully answer a few of these questions. Mr. Bailey might be able to answer some questions if y'all do have someone to fly. Does anybody else, other than what was submitted, have questions tonight? Y'all think y'all might have a few? We'll see.
See, I submitted some.
We'll see how it goes. Anyway, these are just some that I received from Mr. John, the city manager over here. So I'll just read question and answer. There's not too many of them here, so I'm sure there'll be some residents who might have some questions. And depending on how this goes, if we do get to a point, anybody that has some questions that we may be able to answer, again, if we don't have the answer to it, we can try to get it. But if somebody wants to ask us something on the side, if Billy has some plans with him tonight, if there is anything that we can address while we're here, we'll certainly try to do that. Okay, if not, we will get the answers. We'll eventually get them to you. And I'll tell you what, I will do a better job. I know some of the questions are, about updates and progress. MDOT does do press releases. Now that I'm getting familiar with the position, getting my feet wet, kind of making my way around 14 counties, I'll do a better job on making sure I'm communicate information to not only council but to the residents. Right, I've been a resident here for 30 years, so I'll make sure I'm posting stuff on the residents' pages that we can answer whatever may be pressing at that time. So let's read some of these here. Can you ask the foreman or whomever, and this is part of that, so about weekly or bi-weekly updates. Project engineer and staff will be sending out updates to MDOT Public Affairs, to issue press releases to the local media, as well as notifying MDOT's Traffic Management Center to post alerts on the MDOT traffic website and the smartphone app. So you can go to, any resident that's in here tonight, you can go to MDOT's website if you're having difficulties navigating it, or if there's some information you need to know, but most of it should be pretty readily accessible. They do put out press releases for everything all over the state, but in specific, you can go and try to find updates or anything that's coming up, especially for any road closures, lanes, interstate, whatever's going on here. You should be able to go find that information. If not, again, we'll make sure that we're putting out that information if a press release comes up, whether I send it to the city so they can post it on their website or one of the Facebook pages or any social media outlet for that matter. So we'll make sure we're doing that. Is the overall project still to be 18 to 24 months? Yes, provided we do not have excess bad weather. The completion should be fall of 25? Roundabouts. This is just roundabouts. Okay, here's roundabout questions. Excuse me, we should discuss that to begin with. This is all roundabouts. What is the time frame on lighting? Will it be turned on after the utility relocation, or is it duration of the entire project? It is anticipated that work for the new lighting at the roundabouts will be installed as the project progresses, but the lighting for the new roundabouts will most likely be activated near the end of construction. All the other lighting on the ramps at the Diamond Head exit have been turned over to the city to maintain. When are they predicting to start lane closures? Ramp closures are not expected or scheduled until this fall of this year. So ramp closures are not scheduled until the fall of this year. Can we confirm the 1 to 2 week ramp closures? Ramp closures will likely be 1 to 2 months, not weeks. We will work with the contractor to expedite this work to minimize the length of the ramp closures, but there is significant amount of work to be done during those closures. Can we confirm they are not going to shut one end of the bridge first, or if they only plan to do one at a time? The bridge will remain open to two-way traffic throughout construction. And that's important to remember. The work is phased to keep it open for traffic. Access across the bridge was confirmed. Access across the bridge was confirmed that the bridge will not be coming down. The bridge is not going to be demolished. It is being widened in phases. So it's not coming down. This is not like the Minge project with Bucky, so that bridge will stay in place and the lanes are being added to it. When adding the multimodal lane and the walking path, will they have one lane closed or both? The multi-use path on the bridge will be constructed during the last phase of bridge widening. What is going to happen once the roundabouts start? Will traffic need to be diverted again? The construction has multiple phases with many lane shifts to accommodate the construction. Residents will need to be on the lookout for changing traffic patterns. Are these daytime projects only? Are these daytime projects only? No, daytime work only. Okay, so that should be yes. Yes, daytime work only. When being presented with new information, can you forward it to the council? Give us a small ideas of residents. Absolutely, we'll make sure we're doing that. Significant bump when coming off the bridge. How big of a bump are we speaking about? There should be no bump at the bridge. There should be no bump at the bridge ends once final paving is completed. That's right. So anything once final completion, you shouldn't be worried about any bumps. We will have an increase on traffic on Kapalama. Do we have a traffic plan to slow down the reckless drivers? This is a local street. MDOT has no plans for traffic on this street. Diamond Head will have to develop a plan if needed. The question, what are we doing about golf carts crossing I-10? That's something I guess we'll have to discuss later. I don't have an answer for that one right now. Widening in the path. What is the time frame of this project? The current completion date is March 30, 2027. And that's, again, from past the exit here to Long Beach. Can we get plans on this project and the walking path? I think the city manager has those. John, is that correct? Okay. As mentioned at the meeting, can we add street indicators to the path? These can be added by the city. Also, thought of an idea. What about adding miles? Okay, what about adding mile markers on the ground, quarter mile, half mile, 3/4 mile, mile, and so on? These can also be added by the city. The connection to streets. Will there be gates? How wide is the entrance going to be? MDOT is not making any connections except connecting to the multi-use path being constructed on the roundabout project near the Waffle House. Where will people park to walk? This is another situation the city will have to determine. Lighting and security. The multi-use path along the interstate will have lighting. It will be lit for the entire length of the path. Can we have gates to keep vehicles out, ATV, golf carts, but the gates are big enough for emergency vehicles? Yes, are they big enough for emergency vehicles? MDOT is not constructing any gates. The multi-use path will have signs that say no motor vehicles. What is the plan to fence off behind residents? A new fence will be constructed along the right-of-way line, replacing the one that was taken down. So even if it was damaged in Katrina and hadn't been replaced, or the one that is being taken down now, that new fence will be put back on the right-of-way line. The chain link fence and maybe a wire fence, I believe you told me. So that fence will be in between basically backyards, fence, path, and then you have your wall and then the barrier, the guardrail. Asphalt walkway, yes, the multi-use path will have an asphalt surface. Why did they remove so many trees? As many trees that could be spared were saved. Only trees in conflict with the construction activities were removed. All right, the barricades going from east to west, going from the bay from the front, are really close to the line. This is a concern from people. This must be what we were talking about earlier, Billy, about the front of Dominant here. So there's not an answer. We'll let me read it to you. The barricades going from east to west, going to the bay from the front, so out the front of Dominant here, are really close to the line. This is a concern for people. They're concerned about crashing and or getting pushed into the wall when entering I-10. Now that we know that you're familiar with what they're talking about, is there a response to that at all? That's right. Like you said, right. And yeah, like Billy said, we're doing everything we can for that. There will be some times where obviously it's close, but that's why we're doing this project, and hopefully we won't have any issues like that. So again, you just have to be diligent. Make sure you're paying attention, not only yourself but your surroundings. So I ask that we're adults, and please be careful and use your discretion. Be cautious at all times. And if you have a teenage daughter that, like mine at 17, you'll always be scared when on the road. So just make sure you're watching that Life 360. Can we get a heads up when they decide to start shutting the I-10 road down? I-10 will never be shut down. There will be lane closures from time to time, but for the majority of the construction, 2 lanes in each direction will be open. How will this tie into the Lanai Circle and other walking paths? MDOT is not constructing connections to any other walking paths. The city can construct these if they wish. If there's any kind of connections that they'd like to make, once the project's completed, that is something that the city can discuss, and if they want to make connections, they can. As far as the I-10 widening, no, they're not going to be shut down, but like I've talked to Billy about, right now it's to divert traffic to one side. The new lanes are going to be in the middle of the median. That's where the new lanes are being constructed, or the inside, not the outside. Right now they're constructing to move everybody over, so making that path on the outside of the interstate on both far outside bound lanes. That'll be the temporary lane where traffic will be diverted to until the new permanent lane is constructed on the interior. And then that outside lane will become a larger shoulder, but there will be a shoulder on the inside as well. So it'll be some bump and go where they'll be moving them here and then moving them back. But obviously for safety issues, that's the reason of moving them around. So of course, any additional information will be useful, and we'll make sure we're getting that to you. Concerned about the walking path, about emergency responses, having access to the people, and then knowing who they are, where they are. 2 very important things that we need to know. Obviously, definitely would advise the city to work with their emergency responders, police and fire, et cetera, as well as the local ambulance services, to make sure you're making plans with them for that multi-use path, and just make sure that they're aware of obviously where that path is and where it connects to and where they could have points of access if they need to get to anybody at all. So I'm pretty sure that they'll make sure they're doing a good job on that. These were a few questions that were received late yesterday evening by you, John. Are there architectural plans of the walking trail, sound barrier, wall for the public to review? No, we do not have any renderings of the plans, not an actual rendering. There's plans, there's not renderings. What is the timeline of the walking trail, sound barrier, wall project? Milestones. There are no milestones for the completion of the multi-use path or the sound wall. Will there be any sort of chain link fence installed to replace the barbed wire fence being removed behind residents' property? And what is the planned height? Yes, we will replace the old fence along the right-of-way line. That's, again, what we talked about a minute ago, the chain link fence that will be replaced, and I believe it's 6 foot, about a 6 foot high fence, so that will be put back in place of that down the right-of-way. Who will be responsible for maintaining the walking trail, mowing, ditching, cleaning, etc.? MDOT will mow 3 times per year with the interstate mowing. Definitely would encourage the city to adopt the trail to be able to mow more frequently than MDOT is able to, but MDOT will maintain the ditches. So just like you see with the big mowers, I saw them on I-59 yesterday, when they come through for state line to state line, and we're out there cutting grass. That's 3 times a year, and it's 3 pretty expensive times, and it's a lot of work that goes into that. So as far as having smaller mowers to be able to get in there and take care of some of those crooks and crannies that that 15-foot box blade can't get to, that's definitely something that the city would have to put on their plan to cut. So, what will be the height of the barrier wall? The height varies, but on average, it is a 20-foot tall barrier. Who will be responsible for security of the trail? The same police, sheriff, or state police that have jurisdiction over Diamond Head. So it's not that MDOT's going to come police the trail at all. That's definitely city law enforcement, city first responders, and anybody else that may need to be involved. So those were the questions that were submitted here that I had. Any questions that had been brought up, or any kind of anything you're pondering that we just kind of went over with some of these basics right now? Anything at all that we need to address?
We just want to thank you for all the work going on. That's a lot of work MDOT has got. Driving all the way, I went up to Jackson. There were projects all along the highway, so I don't know how y'all keep them straight. A lot of work going on in the state. MDOT's moving along excellent. I wanted to add that you both will be with us on May 18th. It's a Saturday at 9, and also Mr. Brad White, the executive director, is coming to Diamond Head. The executive director of MDOT is coming to Diamond Head to the ward meeting. He will sit for 1 hour. We're limited to 1 hour, and discuss the questions the residents had, which is a whole separate list. So thank you all for that. That's awesome.
Oh, you're very welcome. That's, I'll say news to me, but I'm glad to hear that that Director White is going to make a trip down here. He is a remarkable human being, doing a great job for the state and MDOT, and certainly earned his stripes. And
Definitely.
He's phenomenal for the state. I know it's been an honor for me to not only be able to call Brad, a colleague, but these last 4 months to get to know him and know that what he stands for and his values of the state, and pushing MDOT in the right direction. And obviously Mr. Billy Owen here, and getting to know him, and remarkable engineer. And this isn't easy. When you start trying to make plans like this, and you're talking about our major interstate here with the amount of traffic that I-10 has on it alone, and Billy's over all 14 counties and all the cities and everything that goes on in between there. So I'm trying to help them as much as I can, making sure I'm communicating with local area government officials and the agency itself, and hopefully answer some of your questions when these guys are busy, and I can definitely find the answer to it if I don't have it right then, which I'm learning along the way. So, but it's definitely a pleasure to be able to work with these guys and everything that they're able to accomplish. It's certainly remarkable. So with that, Billy, if you have anything to add, if there's anything you want to discuss tonight at all, you good? No?
Thank you, Billy.
That's right.
Thanks for
Man.
coming. Thank you
No,
both.
thank y'all for having us.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate it. Like I said, I know Billy's got a little time here before he heads back to Hattiesburg, but if there are any questions that he does have some plans with him tonight, if y'all want to step to the side, if there's anything pressing that somebody's really concerned about that we can maybe look at and address tonight. If not, we'll certainly get those answers. But if you do, please let us know. We'll come over to the side here and see if we can look at any of that. So again, thank y'all. And look, like anything I've been a part of it for a long time, especially living here, change isn't easy. It breaks up our daily routine and our habit. But when it's done, it will be for the better. I've grown up here. My children have grown up here. Again, they're new drivers, and I certainly appreciate the safety and the thoughts and concerns that are going into all of this for the betterment of each and every one of us. Not those of us who've just been here for our whole lives, right? But anybody new that wants to call Diamond Head home one day, it certainly needs to be done. I mean, we're growing, so we've got to make sure that we're doing everything we need to make sure that everybody's safe and can commute on our road safely. So, again, thank y'all. Be patient, right? Be patient with us. We're getting there. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Thank you, Billy.
Thanks, Cody.
Has Cindy Lamb arrived? Okay, no. So we're going to move on to Machado Patano, Ben Sellers with the Hilo project update.
Good evening. How y'all doing?
Good evening.
So, my name is Ben Sellers with MP Design Group. We were tasked with providing construction plans for 4 areas needing drainage improvements, mainly around the Hilo Way circle in the southeast corner of Diamond Head. I believe, yes, Mr. John has some plans printed out for y'all. Y'all can reference. I figured y'all would just like for me to go through the general scope of the project just for y'all's own understanding and any questions you may have. If you want to do that. So I do believe Mr. McCraw has already sent notice to all the residents affected by these proposed improvements, and we've received some feedback and have addressed any feedback we have received. He actually met on site with some residents last week to really discuss the best improvements possible to best mitigate the problems that they're having on site. So this is just your general site plan, for contractual purposes, the 4 areas will be referred to as site A, B, C, and D. For the sake of this conversation, I think it'd be best to flip to C200 because the sheets C100 through 103 are your demo plans for each area, which will just be simply demoing the existing drainage infrastructure in place that we are then replacing.
Ben, is this the 60%?
You could consider this 90%.
It's 90%. Okay.
So on sheet C200, am I there? There we go. This area was experiencing some significant erosion on the outfall side of the pipe, which is the left side, the right side shown on this plan. His driveway right there is right on the edge of the property line, and it's washing out bad, as well as the vacant property to the south, or that's page south. We believe that pipe is too small, or not necessarily too small, but it's too steep. That it's creating significant velocity of that runoff running through there. So our proposition is to upsize the pipe and reduce the slope. That upsized pipe will still provide you additional flow capacity, but because of that reduced slope, your velocity of that runoff will be significantly less. And then we will riprap stabilize that. There's a significant ditch running down that property. Riprap stabilize that ditch for the length of his driveway to protect that driveway from future erosion. Any plans on that? I can just keep moving. Y'all just stop me if you have a question. This is from up around Maui Circle, heading down Cocoa Street, I believe. That existing, all of the Maui Circle is basically crowned in the middle. Half the runoff runs to the east, half to the west. And so we're proposing a small pond built on the existing outfall pipe that runs under Maui Circle. That pond is just simply to keep all that runoff in one area as opposed to being spread out throughout Maui Circle and then sometimes overtopping the road. That pond will provide enough depth and storage to where it should not overtop the road, even in a pretty significant event. That ditch section that runs page east from Maui Circle is right now just a very flat swale, so we're going to define that ditch section a little better to provide some better capacity for that rainwater. And then in that same note, the pipes running down Cocoa Street we believe are currently too small. They're angled oddly, and what I mean by that is they're probably piecemealed in over the years, so those angles create bad erosion, create bad flow, and we believe it's stopping and just you're kind of getting some flooding on the intersection of Cocoa and I believe that's Hilo. So these enlarged pipes will better get that rainwater from Maui, it'll collect the systems down Cocoa and then get it out to a large drainage outfall that is located right about here on Hilo to a large drainage system that's deep and runs way out of town to the east.
What is the depth of that detention pond?
Like 2.5 feet, not deep. And it'll be pretty flat size, so you could easily run a lawnmower through it when it's dry. And it is designed to be dry in outside of an event, a rain event.
And I asked that, have you all gotten with the water sewer district to get the water mains? Because I know there's a large water main.
Water main through that area.
Mm-hmm.
We do have some on our survey. It's hard to see on these plans, but I will make sure that depth is not an
Okay.
issue in that location. This area is running from, I believe, let me I want to get the street names right. Is that Ewa up there on the west? Okay, so that is the Ewa cul-de-sac, and there's a ditch running down those homes south of the Ewa cul-de-sac that is collecting most of the drainage off Hilo Way. It's actually the drainage improvements that were done about a year ago. It all goes to a large outfall pipe that runs between the homes from Hilo and dumps into an existing ditch between these homes here. So what we're proposing is for the majority of that ditch, we will remain in the city Diamond Head drainage easement along the residential property lines. But Mr. McCraw has discussed this with Diamond Head Water and Sewer to take a small portion of their property they own right here that currently a lift station sits on. And we will just simply use a little bit of that property for additional storage to create kind of an off-system pond there. It will not affect the lift station in any way. We will rip-wrap stabilize it so there's no concern of erosion. It'll just be simply, whereas currently, higher flat ground, we'll just take a little more of it, create a depression for a little more additional storage. And the point of that is to try to slow down all this water that runs east across the golf course. Because right now, these homes on the east side of the golf course are getting pretty significant flooding. They're not getting in the homes, but the yards and everything is getting some pretty significant standing water in large events, just because this system is not quite large enough. It's not quite large enough upstream of the golf course, I believe, and vice versa. We need to slow the water down upstream of the golf course, what I'm trying to say, and then speed it up downstream of the golf course. Because downstream, where if you see we're proposing upsizing, what is a 36-inch, that'll be upsized to a 42-inch equivalent pipe, because we are just this water is hitting this head wall here on the golf course and slowing down too much, overtopping the retaining or the head wall, and then just sitting right here in these yards, as well as this golf course slopes to this ditch as well. So all the water off this course, as well from Hilo, is topping this head wall and sitting in these yards. So if we upsize this pipe, it'll get it out of there quicker, have less time to overtop that head wall, and get out to this system, which is a vacant city-owned lot, and then up to a much larger outfall that is, I believe, a relatively new outfall under Diamond Head Drive East and east out of town. So that is the proposition there. This is also Diamond Head-owned property that this new drainage pipe will be installed through. We will not be affecting any current residents' property. And then the last area is on Diamond Head Drive East, and it is a similar system to what is shown here, two pipes with a drain inlet in the middle, but it's a smaller pipe, and the drain inlet is somewhat retrofitted in that it basically looks like a small structure, like a doghouse structure was built, and it has a very small outfall. So you're creating, in big rain events, you're creating a pretty big pool in the middle of that road. So this upsized pipe will get the water out from the west side of Diamond Head Drive more quickly, and as well provide much larger catch area and catch capacity for the kind of bowl that is created by Diamond Head Drive East right here in this area. And then this is a pretty significant drainage system here that we will rip out, stabilize at the outfall just for your high velocity situations, but a pretty significant high capacity system that shouldn't be any issue from upsizing the system here. And that's kind of the that's as far as the rest of the plans are, just kind of standard construction details and all for the materials and all that we have included.
Is there going to be any work on that outfall ditch? And I'm very thankful y'all removing that current existing catch basin in the middle of East, because that is.
You're talking about this one right here? This
Oh,
part?
yes,
Yeah.
that one is.
Oh, yeah, it's
very sad.
busted up, and yeah, it looks like someone took a sledgehammer to the top of it to kind of open it up a little
Yes.
bit. So yes, that'll be a pretty large structure, because that's a significant pipe running under there. It'll have a beehive grate on it to avoid debris and everything collected on top of it, so it'll keep a high capacity for a high catch capacity. And then as far as the ditch, improvements, not necessarily widening or anything. It's a pretty significant ditch, but we will riprap stabilize the first several feet of it just for erosion protection.
Okay. Any questions to my left? Questions to my right?
Said C one hundred, that area, we're just removing culverts and creating new ditches. Is that what you said?
C100.
That was C one hundred section. We went straight to, was it 200?
Yeah, so the C100 sheets are just the demo sheet of each location. So, your C100 is the demo instructions for the C200 location. And again, each location is just simply demolishing the existing drainage infrastructure that's there to replace it with the larger.
And all these new drainage pipes that we're putting in, the inverts are not where it's going to create ditches that are over 4 feet.
Right. They'll be,
Okay.
yes, correct.
All right, it looks good.
Thank you. Any more questions?
Thank you, Ben.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
And next we have Covington Engineers on Colo Court and Turnberry. Just Colo Court, not Turnberry? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I wanted to, Andrew Levins with Covington Civil Environmental, wanted to provide an update on our Colo Court project. I just printed out slides. I didn't have a slideshow for the screen there. So we're looking at the area. If you look at the second sheet, or the second slide on the first sheet, you can see that on that vicinity map that we're looking at the area east of Bayou Drive, where Bayou Drive would be the low point of the project, and there's an existing channel that flows uphill towards Lono Place, and then north and south would be bound by Colo Way and Opla Way. So you can see on the fourth slide, that is the low point, that is Bayou Drive, where we are gonna remove and replace that existing culvert. It's gonna be a double barrel arch pipe. That will be precast concrete pipe, so we won't have to do any extended road closures for any of that. That would be able to, be open and closed within a day, so that won't be a problem. And then we continue uphill to where, getting closer to the Lano Place end, we've got, there's been significant erosion. There's been a sewer main that's blown out a couple places, so we're relocating downhill Lano Place because it kind of has a curve in the channel, and we're working with Purcell on that acquisition there, so that's not really an issue as far as property. And so we're going to create a better alignment, take that fill up the previous erosion downhill, add riprap, and ultimately essentially bury that aerial sewer pipe that's exposed currently, and then we'll have bank protection through the remainder of that area. All of it will be in the existing easement, so we'll just have right of entries, and we'll have to have riprap, like I said, riprap line of channel, and then vegetative restoration outside of that for the remaining disturbed areas. At this time, unless we have any real commentary or anything, we're going to go through a final review and ask that we could proceed to advertisement.
What percent are these?
The plans that we submitted to the city, this is just the excerpts really, but we're at 90%.
So under Bayou Drive, we've had a lot of erosion in this area, and I think we replaced this pipe already once. So we're disposing of the 36-inch, and we're replacing it with Under Bayou Drive?
Double 42, yes.
Double 42. Okay, that ought to carry a lot more water than
It
the
sure will.
136. Okay.
We worked with Water and Sewer District on this, and so we kind of came up with this solution, working with them. So I think we'll have kind of a final sending of our documents to them for a final review. So, but I don't anticipate any real delays there. These are one of our ARPA projects too that we've got to get out quickly.
Right. And this riprap channel is shown between Lola.
Yeah, so basically, we're going just beyond, if you were to project Colo Court south, basically where all that kind of, ends and just gets into a typical section that's pretty well held its banks with time.
And none of these ditches are over 4 feet?
These will not be, no.
Okay.
But will be 3 feet.
This looks like it'll fix the problem.
I think so, yep.
Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
questions to my left? Any questions to my right?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much,
Andrew.
Andrew. Do we get an applaud for Andrew? Great job, Andrew. Great job, Ben. I'm not sure if he left or not. Okay. Next, I'm going to ask Miss Cindy Lamb to come forward. Hello. You want to state, is there anything you want to say before I read this proclamation? So Cindy is here tonight to accept the proclamation for Brain Cancer Awareness Month. Go Gray in May.
First, thank you for doing the proclamation. Sorry I'm late. 2 other cities did the proclamation tonight too, so I'm very excited. Go Gray in May is not about fundraising. It's not about anything medical. It is just about awareness of the stigma, not a stigma, I'm sorry. Give me a second here. Of the devastation that brain cancer causes. There's, like any other form of cancer, there's many different kinds. The most lethal kind of brain cancer is called glioblastoma multiforme. It is 100% lethal. My son was diagnosed on February 6th of 2019, perfectly healthy, 39 years old, running his own business, was the boss, loved his job, worked 60 hours a week, and his coworker noticed that he was not listening to him. He was just staring, and he was having a seizure. There was no other warning signs other than some headaches, so he was misdiagnosed for 8 months as having a sinus infection. Now, while that would not have added to his length of life or even his quality of life, it would have allowed us more time to know what was going to happen. It was just an honest mistake. And I believe in the proclamation even says that there's approximately 1 million people in the U.S. with some form of brain cancer that is undiagnosed or misdiagnosed, which is why we need so much awareness. There are signs. Most of them are either slight physical changes that you can't attribute to something else along with a headache, or seizures are usually the one that causes them to be correctly diagnosed. So I just really appreciate the opportunity to bring awareness, and you'll see a lot about this in the media over the next few weeks, and it's just making sure everybody knows that there's support out there. The nonprofit that I have been recently appointed president of, the Glioblastoma Support Network, is about exactly that. It's about support for the patients and the doctors and the family members and the coworkers, because in the instant that they're diagnosed, all of those lives change, in addition to losing someone very special to them. It is devastating financially, emotionally, physically draining, and what we provide them on multiple social platforms and in private conversations is someone who's been through it. That I recently went back and read the first journal I wrote when my son was diagnosed, and I did everything wrong. I did everything wrong, but I did the best I could with. I don't say that, I don't feel guilty, and I use that as an example because now I know what to tell that lady whose husband has just been diagnosed just shy 2 weeks of their first baby being born, before their first anniversary. And I can tell her, don't take it personal, he's gonna get angry. Don't take it personal that he doesn't remember your anniversary or your son's name. Don't take it personal. Call us, we know, we're here to support you so that you can take a deep breath, and go on another day to help your loved one. So it's
That is
about
so
support.
awesome.
Thank you.
Our deepest sympathy, but
Thank
your
you.
work is very valuable to so many families. So thank you for turning something very tragic into helping others.
When Jason would have loved it that I continue to talk about him, so.
Yes. All right. So whereas the city of Diamond Head, Mississippi shares a critical concern for patients diagnosed with brain cancer and a desire to spread awareness of the needs for diagnosis, medical care, healing, and research to find additional targeted and effective treatments. And whereas brain cancer affects both women and men at every age, race, religion, culture, and status, people in poverty and those with affluence, without discrimination. Of these, the National Cancer Institute estimates that approximately 15,000 people are diagnosed with glioblastoma multiforme, GBM, each year, the most lethal form of brain cancer, and the majority of these will be given a fatal prognosis of 12 to 15 months, with an extensive and debilitating treatment regimen. It is estimated by the National Brain Tumor Society that over 1 million Americans are currently living with a brain tumor, many of which go undiagnosed or misdiagnosed. And whereas brain cancer attacks the physical, mental, financial sustainability, quality, and quantity of life of patients, families, friends, and communities, in the form of mental and physical ability, emotional changes, economic devastation, and unknown factors, for a lack of specific and unstandable information, and ultimately death. And where acute brain cancer diagnosis is the key for access to professional assistance, a sustainable treatment plan, information for caretakers and families, and a community that understands the unique challenges of each patient's individual symptoms, mental and physical changes, and whereas in 2023, the Glioblastoma Support Network provided a focused resource and emotional support through an informative website, private and public chat groups, a YouTube channel with personal experiences, and general supportive emotional care to the patients, family, friends, co-workers, and caregivers on multiple platforms to share the experience with like situations. Caregivers kits and bereavement kits to friends and family members, as well as planning documents. And whereas various nonprofit agency advocates, professionals, volunteers, and community members concerned with brain cancer awareness will devote the month of May to raising public awareness of the crisis of brain cancer. It causes, affects, quality, and quantity of life options, awareness, treatment, and research. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City of Diamond Head does hereby proclaim the month of May 2024 as Go Gray in May for Brain Cancer Awareness Month, and reaffirm our commitment to assisting to create a co-workers and community with the awareness of the devastating life changes that follow a diagnosis. In testimony thereof, we hereunto affix the seal of the City of Diamond Head on this day, the 7th day of May. Thank you for all you do to bring awareness.
Thank you.
You can get a picture?
This is my card from you, each of them, my cards. Thank you.
All right, city managers report. Oh, Bob, I'm so sorry. Okay, so we have another presentation tonight, Orion Planning, Bob Barber, talking about the zoning code rewrite.
Good evening, Mayor
Good
and
evening.
Council. It's good to be with you. Again, I'll be brief unless you want me to take longer. I can go
This
either
is a
way.
very important topic,
I
so you
can go
take as
either
long
way.
as you need.
So I'm representing, or I'm bringing to you, or I guess summarizing the last action of the Planning Commission with regard to zoning code updates coming out of Envision Diamond Head 2040. The last Planning Commission meeting, which was 3/26, or whether, I don't know if that was the last meeting or not, but on March the 26th, they recommended it go forward. And that recommendation comes after 12 months at least, maybe 14 months of work on the code. And we went through it at that meeting with a PowerPoint presentation, which I'm not showing now because I'm summarizing. But that PowerPoint presentation traced the start, I guess, of Envision Diamond Head 2040, and it, quite frankly, it's remarkable to me some of the product that the leadership of the city has produced out of the work, the pathways, the various parts of construction, just remarkable. Nonetheless, one of the components of the recommendation of the plan was to rewrite the code because the Envision Diamond Head had 4 essential principles to it. One was connecting Diamond Head, celebrating Diamond Head, growing Diamond Head in a mixed-use, responsible kind of way, and then also preserving Diamond Head, its best aspects, its character, and so forth. And as a part of Envision Diamond Head 2040, it was pretty clear that the code needed to be adjusted in a comprehensive way to reflect the comprehensive plan. So that's where we are, and that's what you authorized to occur, was the comprehensive update of the code. Well, since then, we used a process that's typical of a zoning code rewrite process. We assess it first. That assessment revealed lots of things. The code was lengthy, rather confusing unless you really hunkered down on it. There were certain consolidations that could occur. There were certain adjustments to the regulatory content that needed to occur and to fit in with the vision of the community out of Diamond Head 2040. So that's what was done. Let me just give you some of the highlights of the amendments. First of all is the formatting. We actually got a compliment, which I'm thrilled that we did on the formatting and the organization of the code. It's hyperlinked, it's reorganized, there's graphics associated with it so that it's more user-friendly and you can get to where you want to go easier and quicker. We took a very complex set of uses which had 260 property uses in the code, consolidated and revised those in a logical way, trimmed that down to 160. The use conditions were a set of footnotes in the code. They were thin, I would say. Those are beefed up. They're much more substantive on the use conditions. And one element that's added that's very important is the design standards. And we used before the Planning Commission a couple of images of just kind of a generic, I think we used an AutoZone example, a generic franchise kind of piece of architecture versus one with higher character, architectural features, properly designed parking lots, and so forth. So those design standards are included in the code. And then there's also some new content added with regard to low-impact design. You're just talking about drainage. We have some provisions that encourage new developments for low-impact design. Your new tree components are wrapped into the code. And then along the way, we had the matter of the heights come up. Those have been adjusted down to 35 feet across the board to be considered at another time, but right now they're just at 35 feet. And so that's where we are with the code, and that's a very, very, very quick summary of a rather lengthy technical process. Your Planning Commission has worked diligently on it. They've reviewed it multiple times. We've had multiple meetings with them. There have been several public meetings. We responded to comments. It's been online. We got comments online. We got some emailed directly to us. All those comments were responded to. I think there were some 30 in all, something about 30. So we're bringing you the code. I think you have a copy of it or access to a copy of it, and it's before you now, recommended by the Planning Commission for your consideration.
Okay, any questions to my left? Any questions to my right?
Thank you
I
so
ha-
much.
I
Oh,
have
I'm
a
sorry.
few questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so, and I've been through every page looking at it. So some of the heights, we did have 5 stories in some areas, and we had 3 stories in some areas. So, and I'm just gonna pick something random here. And here's the most difficult part I have is the form-based formatting is extraordinary. And I've been reading this. This is the best I have ever seen. It is phenomenal. It's excellent.
Thank
The
you.
form, anybody can pick this up and read it and be ready to go with it. The concerns I have is like, the townhomes. Let's just say the Aloha District Townhome District. If I knew what that was abutting, if I knew where it was on a map, then I'd be more accepted to accepting it, as well as the 0 lot line developments. If I knew where that was located specifically on a map, because a townhome 3 stories high probably shouldn't be next to a residential area. So those are the concerns I have. If I don't know where it's on a map and I look at the data, I look what's allowed to be used in Aloha District and not know where it is on a map, my opinion may change on what is allowed. Mm-hmm. And the specific areas shown in Article 4.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So I'll address that. The town now the Aloha, we shifted it to the Aloha as a naming convention, kind of a branding tool. The Aloha District was coded out of what we call the Linfield Plan. The board authorized a Linfield group from New Orleans to create a kind of a town center plan, and then we were asked to code it even before we ever started doing the rewrite. And we created the form, and thank you for acknowledging that. We created the form, and we did create a map, but the Diamond Head was not ready for the map, for the exact boundaries of where the townhomes would lay and where the mixed-use buildings would lay. And so it's not on the map. It exists in text only. The only way somebody could operate under the Aloha District would be request a rezoning. Now, it's my understanding that next step staff will pick up that and begin to try to configure the Aloha District and study it in a much more focused way, concentrate on it. But right now, it just simply doesn't exist on the ground. It's narrative in the code.
And so, Mayor, just one other point. So I think that the opportunity for the council will be when those opportunities come up, when either a property owner or the city staff itself recommends those changes, you'll know exactly where it's going to be. So you will be able to say, they're trying to put it next to R10. I don't like that idea. I'm not voting for it. Or they're trying to put it in another location. That looks better. So that's where, because it's a much more difficult process, as we've gone through many times, and Mayor, I know you're aware, it's a much more difficult process to rezone a property. Code rewrite is, and it's been a 12-month process, but rezoning process is the toughest thing we do at the Planning and Zoning Commission. It has the highest standards. It's one of those things that's very susceptible to litigation. So that will come, but you all, the P&Z commissioners, the residents, and then ultimately the council will have that ability to say, okay, somebody's trying to put Aloha District right here. I don't like it there. So you'll have that opportunity. So I just wanted to point that out.
And speaking of the zoning map, we've had a few things rezoned, like over here, the Elliott Homes was zoned, it was Park and Rec, and then it changed to R2, I believe. When are we going to update the map to reflect all the zoning changes? Because that hadn't been done in years.
Yeah, good question. If you look at our zoning map, it does have places where we've got to indicate where it has changed over the years. There are amendments to it. Pat and I have talked about that just last month, about we're going to go through and catch up to everywhere we haven't done, thankfully we haven't done a lot of rezoning. We did in some of those undeveloped areas, but in terms of individual lots, we've done very little. But we are going to get caught up and just do those amendments and have those actually on that map. And it's a good time to do it now because the names of the residential districts are changing. The districts themselves aren't changing, but the names of them are changing. So it's a good time to do all that. So we'll be working on that.
I guess if nobody has any other questions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's really a pleasure working with y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Some updates on our projects that we have going on out here is the Park 10 Road. The contract for that was 270 days and was to end June 1st. There is a request to extend that contract on this agenda for another 39 days due to weather. That will, if approved, that will move the contract date to July the 10th. That may need to go out a little bit further. We're having a little issue with the electrical getting all that in place, and they may need a little more time. But they still feel like confidently, if everything goes well and the weather holds out for them for the rest of the month, they could be done by June 30th. But right now, this would extend it to July 10th. The sidewalks are being formed up right now this week, and all the curb and gutter has been installed up to the Diamond Hill Water and Sewer plant. The lighting subcontractor is completing all his landscape lighting as well. The second project, the Noma Drive restoration, that project has reached substantial completion. Engineers are working on the paperwork for that, and we'll have all that to you for the next council meeting for approval. We have a walkthrough scheduled next week for closeout on that project. I don't know if you guys have been out there for the last bit of the sidewalk and brick pavers that were installed Friday and Saturday of this week, of last week, really showing you what's going to come on or what's going to go out there. That will continue all the way around to Park 10 and all the way up to the bowling alley. So that's going to be, it's really a beautiful sight once you get out there and see it, and that whole walkway will be available for everyone. The Bowview 2 project is currently waiting on a schedule and a notice to proceed. The bond paving project, the contractor completed the punch list items last week, and we've got a walkthrough scheduled for Thursday. Austin did send one more arrow that was broken, and I've sent that over to the engineer for them to get with the contractor on. Drove the rest of the site, did not see any other broken arrows and/or bicycle markings. So that hopefully everything else on those have been repaired and is in good shape. Also, the Public Works, which I have to give a huge shout out for, has installed all the markers in between the buffered bike lane to do that separation, and that has really made that entire project look complete and finished. So they have a little bit, about a mile and a half or so to finish up on Diamond Head Drive East to get back to the water tower. But their plan is to do that tomorrow and Thursday and be finished with that, all the markers down. The Noma Drive Phase 2, Phase 1B, I'm sorry, is out for bid, and those bids are due on the 14th. And so hopefully we'll see some good bids on those. I spoke with the engineer yesterday on those projects, and he's had a couple of contractors call him, and so they're very interested in trying to get that project and get that bid. Kaliki Way, that project's underway. It's 120 days, currently set to end on August the 6th. The contractor is currently installing all the new has installed all the new driveway culverts on Amoka and Kaliki Way. They're currently restoring the residents' driveways at this time to finish up. Once they get done on those two streets, they're going to start the what I call Phase 2 of the project, which will start working in the side and rear yards of properties on Aiki and Diamond Head Drive North. All the required easements for this project have been acquired. Bayou Drive, that contract or project started yesterday with the first few minor things set up, and then today they actually tore open the road and closed it through traffic for the duration of the project. The bypass road, the gates have been opened and secured. Currently, we're waiting on Coastal Electric to get out there and put an additional lighting up on that property. Until they get out there, we'll have a light stand out there for residents so they can visually see while going down that road. Let's see, that project's scheduled to be complete by August the 4th. So the expectation is that the road will be closed the entire 90 days, as that's where most of the work is it's where all the work is being done. The Hilo projects, as you heard from the engineer tonight, the update on that, he'll probably get final drawings over to me in the next 2 weeks, and we'll have that on the next agenda to request advertising for those projects. You heard from Cody and Billy regarding the MDOT projects. Turnberry, I met with, it says I'm meeting with the residents. I met with the residents this morning on that to discuss the final design. Everyone was extremely pleased with the final layout on that project, and so we'll have we'll get the engineers will finish up on that one, and we'll get that to you for review, and then hopefully get it out for advertising as well. In the final design, no additional easements are going to be needed for this project as well. Colo Court, the engineer talked about that one. As he said, there will be no additional easements needed on that project. Canal dredging, MDEQ is scheduled an on-site meeting on May the 23rd. Once that's completed, hopefully a grant agreement will be issued and presented to the council. Once we get to all that, we can get started on this project. I did ask the engineer to come and present on the June 4th council meeting that project, so that you can at least see what we're doing there, the dredging out of those canals. The dog park, the county's asked to make a few minor changes to the title, which has been completed. Then they've sent that back to Neil Schaefer to include those updates in the survey. Once that's done, the county will submit for the re-subdivision request. The current proposed parcel for Ochsner Medical is approximately about 4.3 acres. Actually, it's a little bit larger than 4.3 acres. Of that, you can estimate that about 0.6 acres, or about 25,000 square feet, could be used for a dog park. The motion on tonight's agenda is a furtherance of the county's approved action to explore and develop this site for a dog park. The bid documents, the budget, and all the contracts with Ochsner and or the county will still come to you guys for further approval. The Hooley Place design work on that is about 90%. Right of entry letters were sent out to residents. I kind of expanded the overall so that residents around the area would at least be aware of the project, whether we actually have to go on their properties or not. At least they will have some knowledge of the project and what's going on. Calais Street, same thing there, working, he's getting close to 90% drawings on that one. He has not provided me with the list of residents so that we can get right of entries. I believe for the most part, all that project will be in the front ditches, so there really won't be a need for going on residents' property. But it's always nice to have the right of entry just in case a worker steps over onto that side to grab something on the other side of the ditch. The Montjoy Creek project, working with I was meeting with the engineer yesterday regarding this, so he's got to, we got to receive a tidelands lease from the Secretary of State's office. Or actually, we did receive that, and it's on the agenda tonight for your approval, so that we can send that back to them. This would be at the very end of the Montjoy Creek, where it turns into the Jordan River or Devil's Elbow right there. The engineer will provide designs also on June the 4th of that entire project and what that will look like. The Noma Drive Walking Trail, engineer has completed the surveying work for most of this project and is working on determining what the best route for this walking trail will be. The idea is to go from the end of Noma Drive, making it over to the Montjoy Creek Trail and making a connection there. For the most part, this would go through the Secretary of State's property, so additional easements through private property or private landowners will be held to a minimum as best we can. Coon Branch, this is actually 4 different Go Mesa projects. The Coon Branch project, lots 7 and 8, Colo Street, and Alamona, and Anahola Place. This actually kind of ties into the Calais Street project. Sort of that one's going to end, and then this project will pick it up and continue forward. Very similar to the bank stabilization, just looking at getting the water from almost over by Golf Club Drive, Diamond Head Drive, out towards the Coon Branch area. Some of this is also going to have to be dealt with and addressed by Harrison County and Hancock County as this kind of goes outside the city limits of Diamond Head. So we're going to have to start working with our neighbors to the east and around us to see if we can't get this entire project going, because we'll get the water there, but then somebody's got to pick it up from that point, helping us out. The Noma Drive dredging project, the engineer expects to have this bid by this summer. The project is to remove the sediment in the Jordan River to allow better boat access from our new boat launch coming out of Noma Drive. So he's working on getting the permit on that and getting everything that we need for that project. The detention pond, those are 2 ponds on the golf course where we detain water. This is going to be a in-house project by our Public Works, but the engineer's just designing how we want to put the side slopes on those ponds and how far we want to dig out and everything. We've already spoke with the POA. They're very receptive to that in dredging those ponds out and making them a little bit deeper and possibly a little bit bigger if needed in certain areas. Comey Drive, this project is also a Go Mesa project, and it's to address the driveways and landscape culverts on Comey Drive. Currently, it's kind of on hold as we're still working on these ARPA projects, trying to get them out first. And as soon as we get those done, we can get back onto these additional projects that we have. Calabacona Pond is the same way. That's also a Go Mesa project. And that is sort of the head of our bank stabilization project. That pond is going to get some dredging and then looking at altering the weir there and other ways to detain water in there and allow it to come out slower and go into that major ditch that we're looking at stabilizing from Comey, Capilama, and Calabacona, as well as Applahama. So working all that together is one big project. The substation is our last ARPA project that we're working on, and this one is behind Rouse's and behind the new substation. Some major erosion going on in that from all that build over there, and it has exposed sewer pipes. So we're working to correct the erosion and take care of those exposed pipes there. The other two projects, the Noma Drive Boardwalk and the Pelican Cove drainage projects, are currently just no new updates. The engineers are working on those, and hopefully we can get moving forward.
Thank you. Councilman Marr?
Can I just one more thing?
Oh,
I'm so-
okay, I'm
On
sorry.
tonight's agenda, we also had that grant that we're asking for. I do have the letter here, if I could get each of you to sign it while we're here as our letter of support. I sent it to you. Hopefully, everybody had a chance to read it.
All right, Councilman Marr?
I have no comment.
Councilman Clark?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I have a few things. The last meeting, we discussed the lots that were cleared and what we could do. You all were gonna look up and see what you could do about what we could implement. If someone clears a lot that decides not to build on it, then the lot's left in horrible condition. So do we have a chance to look into that?
Yes, Mayor, and I don't have any recommendations with respect to the ordinance on trees. I think the tree ordinance that we've got in place requires a residual number of trees be left on lots before they're cleared. What I look at, and I saw the lots on Bayou Drive, what I look at that lot is a prime example of a code enforcement opportunity for us. That's a property maintenance issue. There's a tree that's halfway down. There's another tree that's in half and falling, and it looks like it could be even a threat to the neighboring property. There's trees down in the front. There's noxious weeds. And I will be talking with AJ about that. I think that's a prime opportunity for a code enforcement issue. And I think any lots that are overgrown in that manner, where it's just weeds and there's a bunch of debris and there's a bunch of fallen trees, I think that's the way we go. I think that's the best tool we have in our box right now.
Okay, so there's nothing we can say, you have to build on it by X day or else replenish? No?
I mean, you could, but I mean, you'd be granting somebody a permit to cut down a tree and then requiring them to replant it, and then you'd be giving them a permit at some future day to cut that tree down again when they do build their house. So I don't know. I mean, if that's what y'all want to do, we can look into it. I don't see, I look at it as a property maintenance issue. Especially now with the ordinance, you've got to leave a residual amount of trees on that lot. But we can I mean, if you guys want, I've looked at some other cities. I just didn't see anything where a city is granting someone the right to cut down a tree and then right back saying, okay, if you don't do X by that time, you have to replant. I mean, typically your tree, when you're allowing someone to cut trees, there's no requirement that they build right away. So we'd have to really look at that. I can keep looking. I looked at kind of some of the surrounding cities, see what they do. We've got now one of the most restrictive tree ordinances in the state, not just on the coast, but in the state. And I can keep looking. I can look outside some other areas. I'll continue to look, but I think the short-term solution, like on Bayou and some of the others, is property maintenance.
It's compliance. Get compliance on it. Okay, the Jex Drive lighting project, where are we with that?
We received one quote back and waiting on two others, right? Yeah, two others to come in. So as soon as we get those, we'll get something probably on the next agenda, hopefully.
Excellent. So the plans are complete. It came in under the threshold to have to advertise to bid? Oh. Okay, so what you're saying, Andrew, is the first did not come in under the threshold, so there's a possibility we might have to advertise to bid.
I think we're leaning more towards
Reduce scope of work. Okay, that'll work as well. Okay. The community rating system, where are we with that? Now that we've learned how much we can save on our flood insurance, and we need to save money because it's insurance is on the rise.
No. We have received everything back and have passed our audit from FEMA. So Bo has every week, pretty much every Monday, emailed the 2 or 3 people on his list, asking what do I need to do next, and waiting on FEMA to come down and do their on-site visit. And that's where we are.
Is that the last step for FEMA to come?
As I understand it from Bo, yes, is for them to come and do their on-site visit. And so he keeps asking when will they come to come actually do that. So we're harassing them as much as we can, and hopefully they'll get them soon.
Okay.
And it won't be FEMA, more than likely. They have a company that actually does it, but we're just trying to get on their list.
All right. And that's when they come through, do the audit, do the rating, score us, give us the points, and then we know the percentage.
That's good.
The SMPDD road rating report, can you email us a copy of that so we know where the roads are?
We didn't actually get a report this year, but I do have the entire list, so I can send that to you.
All right, thank you very much. So that's the report on SMPDD going out and regrading all of the roads. We've done phase 1 through 4 of the pavement project. Some roads have gotten in worse condition due to construction on those roads, so they regrade it so that we know the worst roads up, so we know who to pave next. I had a resident with a question that I couldn't answer. Right of entry, this is a legal question. Right of entry for projects, does that qualify for eminent domain? I mean, that's not a purchase. So how does that work?
Totally separate matter.
Okay.
Right of entry is just giving the city the ability to go to access the property to get to the existing easement to do
Okay.
work there. So in some instances, drainage ditches are just very difficult to get to. So out of an abundance of caution, what we've done, typically the contractor, it's in the contract documents, before you do work, make sure you have right of entries. We kind of it's a two-pronged attack. One, we can get them quicker. Two, it enables the city manager to have that initial contact with the homeowners. Hey, we're going to be out here working, so and we're trying to make sure we get more notices out there. But the right of entry says, hey, the city, contractors, engineers, surveys have a right to go through your property to get to the easement to eventually do the work that we need. But as you'll see, I think on Colo, Kaliki, some of these projects, remember we were here a few weeks ago and talking about eminent domain. We've been able to now get those projects without having to go that route. We've had to not acquire new easements. We have not had to purchase any new easements. You'll see as we get to some bank stabilization, Comey area, things like that, because there's such issues there, we're probably going to need to acquire some easements there. So some of those right of entry letters have already gone out as we start looking at that. But no, a right of entry is we're not taking anything from anybody. And if anybody has questions when they do, call John. He knows exactly what to tell folks. We work closely on that. So that is not taking anybody's property.
And do the right of entries have an expiration date? Is it a time period?
Typically, John, what are you putting on them right now?
It'd just be the time of the project.
Yes, so it'll say till project completion. So, if, for
Okay.
example, if it's Kaliki Drainage Project, when that project closes out, that right of entry expires.
All right. And the budget amendment, I don't know why I'm having trouble. The 101,000, so we got reimbursed. Let me get it. We got reimbursed. It's actually a $198,000 budget amendment. We got reimbursed from the bond company, the 92,000 for McKeekee, which we had called on the bond because the contractor left. The 101 that we're putting for the budget amendments, because we needed more money from, is coming from the fund balance, which is, yes. The fund balance, where does the fund balance come from?
The fund balance is revenue that we receive minus expenses and it's cumulative. So that's what we call our carryover
Mhm.
fund balance. At the end on 9/30, all our expenses have been paid for that year and carry over cash or fund balance. And our fund balance, currently is 2.9 million. 2 million is in the operating contingency.
Oh, okay.
So we
Mm-hmm.
have $908,000 is what we would get as far as our fund balance.
Is that also the 908, the 3-month reserve and the account?
Yes.
That's correct.
And how much do you need for that?
Roughly about 300,000. So we're looking at about 600,000.
And these are the numbers I need to know, so I feel good. Okay, so there's 600,000 really in the fund balance minus the reserve and the 2 million that we have in the emergency account. All right, that's all I had. Thank you. Councilman Cumberland?
No.
Councilwoman Lisi?
Thank you. John, we met a couple weeks ago and we're talking about ways that City Hall could maybe be more user-friendly, and I think you'd identified somebody to kind of make a resident services person. Can you talk about that for just
Well,
a minute?
yeah, so we're gonna just put that on our website, just showing that when you have questions, if you need to know something, our receptionist is the one who has either most of the answers or can get you to the right department to get you the right answer. So we're going to put that on our website just as to help remind residents where to come when you have questions and where to get your answers. Kind of our own concierge, I guess.
Well, that's good, and then she can help funnel
System.
people to where they need to be.
She can funnel you to anyone that you, because she knows where everybody needs to go, depending on what your question is and what the issue that you have may be.
I know she's very helpful,
Yes.
but I know it's intimidating sometimes when we just tell people generically, "Oh, well, you call City Hall," and they're like, "Well, who do I call?" So I think that'll be really a great thing. And also, from your wife, I just found out that you guys are celebrating 30 years of residency in Diamond Head. So you've lived here for 30 years.
Well, yeah, I guess
Congratulations.
yeah, 1994. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, Derek, really quickly, I agree that if we could explore some language to keep lots from being cleared with no plan in sight, I think that would be really good. We alter the tree canopy when we do that. We take a habitat away from any animals. And if there's no identifiable plan in sight at all, I just don't see the need to clear lots arbitrarily if we're going to have to.
Can I speak to that a little first? Just a little bit here. I'm not going to talk about the legal side of it. Usually it's not necessarily that it's no plan in sight. Sometimes it happens that they clear a lot and then they find a big ditch in the middle of it, or some reason that they can no longer build on it. At the end of,
Well, then
gosh,
those
I can't
people
remember
had
the
a
corner.
plan.
Well,
Their plan was
you know,
thwarted, but they had a plan.
Yes, I will say the builder didn't do their due diligence to make sure that that lot was buildable. So sometimes that kind of thing runs into them. Then, of
Well,
course,
I
you know,
understand
the other
that,
is just
but-
flat out they go bankrupt and that kind
It
of
just-
unfortunate
I guess
situation.
And I get that. I mean, I don't think we're trying to be unreasonable, but I just, for the people who think, okay, well, I own this lot and I'm going to go ahead and clear it and then list it for sale and see what happens. I mean, I don't see that.
Councilwoman Lisi, I'm reluctant to do this, but Mr. Rich said he had a thought on this.
Oh, I'd love to hear it.
I have no idea what he's about to say, just warning everybody.
Well, I just want to let you know, is this on? Just want to let you know, we've changed some administrative things we're doing in the building department.
Okay.
So now when someone comes in and says, okay, I'm planning on building this lot, I want to remove these trees, until you present us with a building permit application along with the site plan and your building plans, we will not issue you the ability to come
Okay,
in and
well,
clear
that-
anything.
That answers
Okay.
the question. Okay.
So we have done that.
Okay.
So you must have a plan.
Well, that's
It must
what I
be
wanted.
submitted. So you must be committed. Now, we have several of these lots out there that were bought by companies that came in and planned to build, and then for whatever reason, they backed out. And so this is kind of what brought this plan on, changing administratively how we issue these lot clearing plans.
Okay, that helps to know. And
Now, if you want to get in and look at your lot and see what it looks like, you can come in and mulch it. Don't remove any trees, but mulch the undergrowth, et cetera. And then you can get a good look. And you'll see that on the south side. A lot of those lot owners over there came in and mulched them.
Okay, and one more question that a resident asked me. When lots have been cleared and they're left and protected trees start to grow back, when do they become protected again?
They become protected again when they reach the
Right.
the diameter, the
Okay.
maturity of the tree, and I believe it's 6 inches at 5 foot, something like that.
That's
6?
I thought it
I,
was
I,
12.
I don't know. 3, something like that.
Okay.
But anyway, whenever they reach that maturity.
Okay, well, I
Yeah.
wanted to get that answer for that resident, and thank you.
Okay.
Wait, before you go.
Oh, no.
One question is, how do you control people clear cutting on the weekends when nobody's watching?
That is when we are made aware of it, whether external or internal, that becomes a code enforcement issue.
Yep.
So we can go after them after they clear
Th-
cut it?
Most
Absolutely.
definitely, because they have violated the ordinances of the city of Diamond Head, which becomes a municipal court matter.
But can they be stopped from building for a year or something?
Remember in the new tree ordinance, yeah, we've got that provision in there.
Correct.
Unless they reforest. So, yeah,
Correct.
that's one of the things we've done in addition to increasing the fines, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Councilman Finley.
No, ma'am.
All right, we're going to move on to public comments, and we're starting with agenda items first. So we've got Mike on Kaliki Way. Just come up and say your name.
Hi, my name is Michael Leone, and I'm here representing Ross and Sophia Tomko, who live at 7410 Kaliki Way. Ross is my son-in-law. He's just been deployed. My daughter Sophia just had a newborn baby about a month and a half ago, so she would be here. Before Ross was deployed, he would be here, but he was greatly concerned about the drainage on Kaliki Way. I came down from Tennessee to be here, and I just want to get some. He was not aware of any kind of announcement that anything was being done. He was not given any firm answers on whether the property where he's got a 3-year-old and now a new child would be the same before the work was done. And I just want to get assurances that it would be. He couldn't get a firm answer on that. And again, it kind of weighed on his mind before he was deployed. So I just want to open that up and just say, is there any kind of assurances that the property that was there, the culvert is filled in, it's grass on it because children play there. I just came to, see what that answer would be.
And the address is 7410. So your question is, you have subsurface drainage currently across the front with,
Mm-hmm.
and the
And-
culvert's going to be removed. Is it going to be replaced?
Right, and if it's, again, this is their first home. I've had many homes. So it was, one day he just saw people tearing up his yard. There may have been an announcement. I don't know. I don't live in Diamond Head. But he sought my counsel on it. I came down from Nashville. And, when he was gone, I said I would be at a meeting if he was not here, and he had to be deployed last week. So, that being said, I just want to get assurances that I understand there's new drainage and things happen, and it's for the public good, but his concern is about his family and his children in particular. Is that going to be what it was before, the culverts being covered and all that? Is that going to be the same with the new drainage? So I can relay that to him.
Do we have the plans here to look that one up?
I spoke to actually Ross numerous times, actually, before as well as after, explaining to him how the project was and exactly what was happening. In this case, the landscape culvert and the driveway culvert were determined by the engineer to be too small, and so they were being removed, and a larger driveway culvert was being replaced and put in. And that's as far as it goes. I have worked with the engineer as well as the contractor. If any homeowner on that area that would like to replace their landscape culvert, that engineer would give them the price, and they could work that out with the contractor to install it while the project's going on.
So if there was a covered culvert before, and it's no longer covered, they have to pay that at their own expense?
That's correct.
Can you give me an unequivocal assurance that no one in Diamond Head is being reimbursed, or no one is being, that's not being covered by the city of Diamond Head?
landscape culverts being replaced by the city?
No.
Not that I'm aware of, sir.
No,
Now, driveway culverts where we've, and that's an issue too. We're not, if a driveway culvert has failed, it would be the homeowner's responsibility, but where the city through its engineers have said, hey, we need to upgrade this, it's not the homeowner's fault. That's where the city is able to go in and replace those driveway culverts, but landscape culverts has been an issue where the city does not pay to replace landscape culverts.
Why would that be?
Several reasons, but one being that we're an open ditch community, and we've tried to go to, and the engineers can explain the difference. I'm sure the mayor can explain the difference between what the capacity of an open ditch versus a culverted, ditch is, and all of that. But that's one of the policies, and so it's an improvement to. The city has an easement there. And the city's not able to provide a donation to a resident to upgrade their property, or so to speak, or in my opinion, it's an illegal donation for the city to be installing landscape culverts in property.
But if the landscaping was there prior?
Right, but if it's not to the capacity that it needs, remember with the easement, the city has the right and the obligation to make sure that holds the capacity that it has to hold. And so in the engineer's opinion, the best way to do that is open ditch. Now, there is a way that you can do it if you upsize the culvert, but that's not something that the city's able to pay for.
Because there's two issues. One is the safety of
Absolutely.
children.
Sure.
Right, which
Mhm.
is the primary reason why I'm here. Because my 3-year-old plays in that yard.
Absolutely.
That weighs heavily on me, obviously. But there's also the property value, would I would assume decrease.
And I'm not an appraiser, but I don't know how that would decrease the property value. But again, I'm not a real estate appraiser, but I can just tell you what the city can and can't do, and that's the issue that we've got here. We would be putting landscape culverts in everybody's property if that were the situation, and that's just something I've always recommended
Has any
against.
consideration been given to safety of children playing in those yards?
Well,
Where you had one before, now you don't have one now?
I mean, all of those things are factored in as we make decisions, but again, there's certain things that are legally possible and not legally possible. So, the option is there, but it would be on the resident to do it.
Are you in an area where the ditch is greater than 4 feet? Because I'm not sure where 7410 Kaliki is.
I haven't measured it. I don't know if it's 4 feet or not, to be honest with you.
'Cause some of them are extremely deep.
Yeah, I wouldn't say this was extremely deep, but for a small child, it would be extremely deep. Yeah, I mean, again, that's my major concern is safety of my grandchildren. All right, well, I mean, thank you for taking the time, number one. I'm going to consult with an attorney on that because I'm not quite there on the it is what it is. I think that's irresponsible of this group to put something, a ditch where none existed before, and if it's a water's wet, rocks are hard, it is what it is, I get that. But they don't have the wherewithal to hire an attorney. Again, my son-in-law's in the military. My daughter, she's a stay-at-home mom. They don't have that wherewithal to get an attorney. But I do, and I will, because I want to make sure that their rights are protected. And I just feel, that's what we're here for, is protecting children, right? If it wasn't there, I get that. But if it was, and it's a few $1,000s, I believe, to fill that stuff in. I just don't think that's right. But anyway, not to...
We have a motion on the agenda to get into deep conversation on Kaliki drainage. It's the first motion on the action agenda.
Okay.
And
Thank
we
you all
will
very much.
discuss it thoroughly.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next, we have DJ Malley.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate you having me up here. Like Mike, I am affected by the Kaliki Way drainage project. Unlike Mike, my ditch is over 4 foot, where there was a smaller ditch before. It's in excess of 5 feet wide. When I built my home about 21 years ago, I applied for and got a culvert permit. They gave me the size so I could fill in my ditch. I did that. We had no issue with drainage and water. Over the years, building has gone on with no water abatement plans. Flooding has increased, got worse and worse. So through no fault of my own, I'm being penalized by, you know, now we need bigger okay, I get it, bigger ditches. Everybody has to live. But I don't see how you can come and take something that I have paid for and got a permit for, went through the proper channels, through no fault of my own, is now null and void, and it's not being replaced. And I'd also like to add that maybe you should add integrity to some of your requirements for your workers. I'm sorry, I'm just emotional about this issue. You can imagine the stress and the headache that I'm having over this. And we're not talking about a ditch. We're talking about a ravine. A ravine you could drive a vehicle off into, and that's not an exaggeration. But I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. And we're going to be discussing this later on in depth. Next, we have Ms. Penny.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Penny Rappold. I'm with the Friends of the Animal Shelter, and I'm here to speak in support of Agenda Item 2024-110. And I just want to start by thanking the Diamond Head City Council for considering supporting Friends of the Animal Shelter. What I want to do is very briefly give you an introduction to Friends, and I will be brief, and then tell you what Friends has been doing over the past years for Diamond Head residents. Friends was started in 2001 by a group of concerned citizens who wanted to end euthanasia as a means of controlling animal overpopulation. So we've been around for a little over 20 years. We're a 501c3 nonprofit registered here in the state of Mississippi. We're all volunteer, and I'd say out of every dollar we receive, 95 cents goes to services here in Hancock County. Our biggest program is our spay and neuter program. That's where anybody in Hancock County, of course including Diamond Head, can request a voucher from us, it's like this, to have their pet dog or cat fixed at no cost to them, and also receive a rabies shot, which is required by the state of Mississippi for their pet. Since we have started this program 10 years ago, admissions to the Hancock County Animal Shelter have dropped 35%. However, last year, the shelter still took in 1,200 animals. That's still way too many. So this is our main program that we initiate here in Hancock County. So how does that affect Diamond Head? Every month, we receive requests from 25 to 30 Diamond Head residents for these vouchers. That's about 300 we give out in a year's time to Diamond Head residents, which we then pay for, where they can take this to 4 local vets, have their pets fixed. We have invested $21,000 in the past year in helping Diamond Head residents to have their pets fixed. That's significant to you because if you had 300 more animals in this community who were capable of reproducing, you would have thousands of unwanted animals in Diamond Head. So I guess what I want to say is, as a nonprofit, all of our funding comes from donations, fundraising, and occasionally we get small grants. So we're only able to do what of course we have the money coming in to do. So any support the Diamond Head City Council can give to us makes a huge, huge impact in what we could do in this community. And in addition to me, let me just say there are a number of members here of the Friends group. Could y'all please raise your hands? And most of these are Diamond Head residents like I am. So again, are there any questions or?
I have one, Miss Penny. Since
Sure.
the Diamond Head SPCA has disbanded or dismantled, have you had an increase on requests for vouchers, being you're the only source?
We have consistently given vouchers to Diamond Head residents for the last 10 years. We are seeing a slight increase, but I think as more and more people come to realize that the Diamond Head SPCA is no longer here to assist them, we will see more. And let me just say, we have worked in conjunction with the Diamond Head SPCA over the last 22 years. So we have always worked cooperatively with them, in this effort.
Y'all do extraordinary work. I mean, you have saved so many animals. I can't say enough good about, and it's all volunteers. Thank you all. Y'all are amazing.
Well,
Thank
I'm just
you.
going to leave a brochure with each of you. I'd just like to ask you to consider joining us, visit our website, look at our Facebook page, get an idea of what we're up to.
Thank you, Miss Penny, and thank you for all you all do. Thank you. Okay, next we have Howard on zoning. Oh, he's yielded to you. Okay, well, come on up here, Bill. So you have 6 minutes.
First of all, and I've told a lot of you this before, that any action taken by the city should always result in a significant public benefit while minimizing the impact on the rights of individuals. So with that being said, I actually spoke at the P&Z meeting in March, and a commissioner told me after that meeting that he agreed with everything I said then, but that we, and this is a quote, we just wanted to get this to the city council for them to make any changes that they need to see. So I don't know if they really agreed with everything in the zone. They just wanted to get it to you guys. So getting down to specifics, 4.3.7, the residential building structure use. Paragraph 7 limits the number of structures to one accessory structure. I don't see a real public benefit in that there's an area, paragraph 3 has an area limitation that says that it should be limited to 30% of the footprint of the primary structure, not to exceed 800 square feet. But there is, I assume the reason for this is to preserve green space and for drainage issues. But there is a workaround for that. The workaround that, as told to me by Mr. Rich, was you put a breezeway between your house and a gazebo, and that's now part of the principal structure. So, for example, if the footprint of a house is 2,000 square feet and you had a 100-foot breezeway and a 300-foot gazebo, now you've got a 2,400 square foot house, and now you, instead of the 600 square foot accessory building, now you can build a 720 square foot accessory building, plus the gazebo and the breezeway is not considered an accessory, so you've added over 1,100 square feet to your property. So I just don't see how that makes any sense. Next is 4.3.8, covering playground equipment, that says playground equipment should be permanently fixed to the ground and should be in the rear yard only. There's no size limitation. I'm assuming that a basketball goal would be considered playground equipment. A lot of those are not permanently fixed to the ground, and also I'm not sure if where a concrete slab would fit into this. That could a homeowner put a basketball goal up and put a whole concrete slab in his backyard and have a whole basketball goal? Then my final issue is 4.3.10 that says where permitted, fences shall be subject to the following conditions. And then it goes that no fence, guy wire, brace, or post shall be constructed where the city has an easement, except, and it says that unless they get written permission is granted by all users. I'm thinking that the onus of this should not be placed on the property owner, but on the users. I think that users can just blow it off, say, I don't want to, comment on this, and the homeowner would not be able to build a fence up to his property line. I think that it should be rewritten to say that the exception will be if objection is not submitted by any of the users. Then the final issue I have is that paragraph 12 says the finished side of the fence shall display toward the outside of the lot being fenced. I don't see a rational basis for this requirement. I don't see a significant public good, and it adversely affects the rights of the property owner. Mr. Rich told me that the reason for this was that the founding fathers of Diamond Head valued open spaces, and that's the reason for this stipulation. In other words, watching if a fence prevents my neighbor from watching my granddaughter sunbathe in the backyard, his consolation is he gets the finished side of the fence. Makes no sense. There's 5 reasons why the requirement for the finished side facing out should be amended. Number 1, if a property owner is incurring the expense of a fence, he should have the choice. Number 2, when the fence is being erected to corral a dog, it's much easier for a dog to get out of a fence when the finished side is facing out. Number 3, if the fence is at or near the property line, the property owner would have to obtain the permission of the adjacent property owner to do any maintenance. Number 4, I've not found any city ordinance that has this requirement, and I have looked at fences in various places in Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and have not seen any fences that have the finished side out. And then 5th is that there's many fences in Diamond Head that have been constructed where even with the existing ordinance, but they've been constructed with the finished side facing in. Now, if they start to enforce this right now, you're going to have a lot of property owners that are going to be up in arms about selective enforcement and city government overreach. So in conclusion, I strongly recommend that the City of Biloxi ordinance that says wherever a fence or wall is installed, if one side of the fence or wall appears more finished, then the more finished side of the fence shall face the section of the lot that fronts to is otherwise exposed to a city street or right-of-way. Fences constructed between 2 private properties may display the finished side of the fence at the discretion of the property owner submitting the building permit application. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Next, we have Beverly.
Beverly O'Hara, 7334 Annalee Street. I have 3 things I wanted to talk about. The first one is to the 2024-110 to definitely amend the budget so that we support the Hancock County Animal Shelter. They're doing a fantastic job, and I think the community needs to support them. The second one is to respectfully ask that the city manager and P&Z get their act together and at least give us a time frame when we're going to be able to get a map, because we have Envision, we have all kinds of maps that everybody's always posting, so why can't we get a zoning map together? That Envision was finished, I think, in 2021 or something, and it seems like there has to be an end to this. And so I would like them to give us a time frame. And the last thing is 2024-115, the dog park. I know they're looking at the lot next to the Oshner Hospital Rehab, or whatever you want to call it, near the library, and I know that that has not actually been subdivided. Do we know if it's properly vetted, if there's any drainage problems? Do we know if it's large enough for a dog park? Do we know if it can handle parking for all of the owners of the dogs? And it means cutting down a lot of trees again. Can't we find someplace that already has trees that are already removed, maybe near the kayak boat launch? Or I know that the city doesn't own that land going to the power lines or the cell towers or whatever those are back there. But people walk their dogs in that property. Maybe they shouldn't be, but it's not fenced and they do it. But there's no trees there. And it seems like we should be able to figure something out where we don't have to continue to chop down trees. And also, I think that that's kind of a weird location because of that little windy street between the Ochsner and going to the library out to that road. It just seems like it's not a great place to put the dog park. But if that's what y'all can come up with, that's great. But we really need to make sure that we actually can build the park there before we put any money, invest any money in it. We had drainage problems at Twin Lakes, and we had some field that we did near the youth activity field that was a no-go. So we keep pouring money into these locations that are not working out. So we need to make sure we have a really solid plan before we put any money into it. And that's all I have. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Paul.
My question was answered tonight.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Thank you very much. So that concludes the agenda item comments. Now moving on to a motion to approve the April 16th, 2024 regularly scheduled meeting minutes. Motion?
Moved.
Motion made by Councilman Finley, second.
Second.
Second made by Councilman Clark. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution. Motion to adopt Resolution 2024-020 to apply for the HUD EDI grant in the amount of $2.2 million for Kalani Drive. Motion.
So moved.
Motion made by Councilwoman Lisi, second.
Second.
Second made by Councilman Cumberland. Any discussion? City Clerk.
Finley.
Yes.
Lisi.
Yes.
Cumberland.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Marr.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. Motion to approve consent agenda items 6 through 14 and 16.
How about a 5?
Oh,
Number 5.
number 5, excuse me. Okay. Number 5, 2024-112, motion to adopt resolution 2024-021, thereby acquiring by donation certain easement from Brian LaBourgeois for drainage purposes. Motion?
Move.
Motion made by Councilman Cumberland, second.
Second.
Second made by Councilwoman Lisi. Any discussion, Councilman Cumberland?
No, ma'am.
Councilwoman Lisi?
No, ma'am.
To my left?
No, ma'am.
To my right?
No, ma'am.
City Clerk?
Finley.
Yes.
Lisi.
Yes.
Cumberland.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Marr.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. Consent agenda items 6 through 14 and 16. Motion to approve.
So,
Motion made by Councilman Finley, second.
second.
Second made by Councilman Marr. All in favor? Aye. Number 15, we're going to ask that Councilman Clark leave the room. The time is 7:59. It's almost time for
Breakfast.
yes. 7:59, Councilman Clark has left the room. Motion to approve and enter into fire protection agreement with Hancock County Board of Supervisors and Diamond Head Fire District for fire protection services, and to transfer annual insurance rebate to Hancock Board of Supervisors solely for the support operation and equipping Diamond Head Fire Department. Motion?
Move.
Motion made by Councilman Cumberland, second.
Second.
Second made by Councilman Marr. Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
The time now is 8 o'clock. It's 8 p.m. and Councilman Clark has re-entered the room. I'm going to move to discuss the Drainage Improvement Project. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Finley. Okay, I'm going to start out with, I've heard the residents here tonight. I've been down Amoka, I've been down Kaliki, and I've been watching it since the beginning. When we have ditches that are over 4 feet, and I realize the outfall of this project, and this is going to be engineer questions. The outfall of the project has been significantly increased, and I'm assuming we did the analysis and we saw we needed bigger pipes, and then we're starting out with the culverts at the driveways at 36 inch. That's major. That's big. That's a big pipe. Isn't the first one 36?
Maybe a 36 foot.
Mm-hmm. So we're starting out with a 36. That's 3 foot with 1 foot of cover, so you're at 4 feet. And y'all have more, but you have more coverage than that. Then I see some you use the arch pipe because you didn't have the cover, so the arch is that big. Amoka and all the way, probably up 5 homes up Kaliki Way. So this is where all the water is at the furthest point of the outfall. And this is where the deep ditches are the deepest. If you've driven down, can y'all come answer something? So when you're driving down Amoka, starting at the outfall, I see some subsurface pipe has been added that's not on the plans.
I think the only thing that we really did was make a connection between where we had a junction and a pipe. We had a flared-in section shown there, so we added like 3 feet just to make that transition easier.
Yeah, because a flared in probably would have not, that would have been very not good. So from that point to like up 3 or 4 homes on Kaliki Way, where it is, if you drove off that driveway, you have to have a record. There's no putting a piece of timber and getting out that ditch. It is like you are in it. If a child riding on a bicycle fell off in that ditch, that's a problem. If a car, somebody's on their cell phone, they do it all the time down east and west. We see them, and they're swerving. Now those little reflectors make them get back over, or else they're going to have to go get some dental work. So what can we do? And I hate moving forward because we have a lot of drainage projects on the books. Anytime we see that the ditches are 4 feet, that is just too deep. It doesn't fit with the aesthetics of Diamond Head. It doesn't fit with what we like. It doesn't look appealing when you're going down Amoka. It's totally opposite of that. And it is dangerous. How much would it cost to add onto the project to do subsurface in areas where it's 4 feet and it's just...
So just to be clear, where we do have the larger pipes, we're in like the middle of the watershed. We're still working our way up. So,
right.
So we can substantiate that pipe size with the flow that we've got coming there. When we were going through design, we were still having our landscape moratorium. Hilo Way was designed to pull landscape culverts. And so that was the direction we had, was to go back with the driveway culverts. I don't disagree with anything anybody's saying on the depth of it. I recall sitting up here saying these are large pipes and going to be large ditches. That's going to be a challenge to fit in there. So certainly, we've looked at it. I think it was about $50,000 additive on the project.
For all of it?
To just go back with what was a previously landscape culvert. And then we could probably justify, because of depth, as you said, Amoka, increasing that as well. So... But all that would be additive. I can't live with the Mocha looking like that. I really can't. It's very, it's dangerous. There's no other way to put it, and it's not appealing. I mean, my thought is on every drainage project moving forward, if it's a depth of that magnitude, and when you're putting in a 36-inch, going further up, you're 24. The biggest you have moving up Kaliki Way, I see, is you took out 18, put 24, which is not bad. That's 2 feet. Those ditches look beautiful.
On Kaliki, we can't get the 3-to-1. We know the residents have to clean their ditches in front of their homes, and I don't know if any of them has a weed eater, because you can't cut the grass there. You cannot, and you're hydro seeding, right? I don't even know how that's gonna stick. So my opinion and my thought is on those ditches that are that deep that we need to change order it out and put subsurface. And that's just my opinion. I feel strongly about it, and I'll let everybody else have their opinion.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yes.
So our conversation, we're really just getting going.
Okay.
And so our conversations already were just recognizing the issue on Amoka, at the very least, that we would progress further into the project and kind of see where we were budgeting wise and see what we may could jump back and address and try to fix those areas better.
Okay, and up like 4 or 5 homes up Kaliki, it looks the same way. And those were already deep. Now they're like, there's no 3-to-1. It's straight banks because you can't fit. But then further moving up Kaliki, it's fine. And I'm sure on Aiki it's going to be fine because that's the higher end of the
Right.
drainage basin. But starting at the end of it. Otherwise, I'm very excited about this project because this area has flooded, and I know the residents are like very, very appreciative and excited. It's just we need subsurface in 4 feet or greater. That's my strong opinion. Councilman Finley?
I agree with that. It looks awful.
Mm-hmm.
It looks awful. And I say 4 feet, very conservative in some places.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's probably pushing 5.
I think I could walk off in there and not be able to see it.
I actually took a photo of a worker in there, and you couldn't hardly see him.
We've ridden around it every day, and just go looking, and I've talked to several of the residents. And like I said, like you said, we're at the start of the project. There's things we can do inside the budget, but I don't feel like we can leave it the way it is.
He said we can't leave it the way it is, and I agree with that. We cannot. So any other comments from the council? Councilman Moore?
Yes, I also agree, and I think that anytime it seems to me if a ditch gets deeper than 3 feet, it's a safety issue. And so we can't leave an open ditch that big where a home is. We can do it fine when it's, going down towards the outflow to the river, but in front of somebody's home, 3 feet is a serious drop for somebody, a serious drop for a car. So I think we have to do something to either correct it with the designs going forward, or that we have to say, okay, we're gonna have to find some money to make these landscape culverts for where they've been in the past. That's just my opinion.
Okay, Councilman Clark? Councilman Cumberland?
Yeah, I agree with the danger that we want to avoid that. John, and maybe Andrew, this project's already grown a little bit from the beginning, right? As I understand it, we added something to it, so we're pushing the envelope on budget.
Project's already over budget,
Over budget?
unfortunately, from what the grant was.
So if we decided to stop now or to just rethink what we're doing right now and make these deep ditches safer, is there a way to cut back on other streets upstream to keep us back in budget, eliminate some things from the project, or are we just going to try and find money somewhere?
I'm going to defer to the engineer on that part.
I would
I can tell you the money's then.
I would just remind y'all, we are under contract on this job, so we are talking about, if we're talking about stopping it, if we're talking about, what are we talking about here? Change orders? Are we talking about everywhere there's a 4-foot ditch? I just want to make sure you guys understand, we've got a contract here, so we have to be, whatever we do, it's going to require either a change order, budget amendment, whatever we're going to do, but we're going to have some issues that we're going to have to talk with the contractor about as well. So we're going to need some recommendations from the engineer in consultation with the contractor as we think about anything.
I mean, if he's making the same amount of money off of it, if we're keeping the contract at the same value, we're just changing some things as to what we are doing. It's a change order still, but
He's
Yeah,
probably
I mean, we've
already
got the
ordered
numbers
all.
already, and I mean, so we've got the calls, so it's not like we're adding new pay items. And I think, I mean, this is the ARPA projects, the funding is transferable, so it'll probably mean lesser on another project.
I think what Councilman Cumberland's saying is leave off some of the other parts of it, but the contractor probably, he has got a lot of pipe. He has bought everything he needs, and it's out there ready to go, so he would not be happy with that.
I don't think they'd mind. I mean, they've already talked, they've been talking about adding the landscape culverts, because that's
Oh,
John
no, I'm talking
mentioned.
about a change order. No contractor's ever unhappy about a change order. Oh, no.
They'll be happy.
They're unhappy about removing more. They're
Right,
very
right.
happy with the change order. And I don't like change orders, but I like this change order because we need it.
I don't like change orders either, but I do want to stay in budget, and I do want to get the jobs done in the time frame that we say we're going to get them done, so that we're not slowing down other projects. There's only so many of you guys to go around, so many contractors to go around, and we got to get this done, right? Or we're going to lose money.
I can revisit some of that. I mean, that upper area on Aiki, we were fixing it properly, but I mean, as long as we can connect the rear drainage out to Aiki and at least get where the problem drainage is there, directed to that location, we could probably save a little bit there as well.
That area floods. I've witnessed it.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious to see what the issue
Yeah,
is
so
there.
you're eliminating, fixing flooding, which is not a good thing.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying
Okay.
we'll go from where it's flooding, take it to
Mm-hmm.
where we want it to go, and then get it behind the properties, which is where we're doing a good bit of excavation and grading.
I think your scope of work's dead on. You hit all the areas that's flooding. I've watched it. The ditches are just too deep. Councilwoman Lisi?
I would love to hear some numbers. If we can eliminate the safety concern, that's very valid.
We'll be working on that, and we'll get something to you on what that will be.
Thank you.
Can y'all have that on the next agenda, something that we know, maybe send emails so that we know where we're moving?
We'll have that addressed, yes.
Okay. All right, that sounds are y'all okay with that, Kaliki?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Andrew. All right, a motion to allow the Diamond Head Lions Club to place their signs of similar size and design next to the Rotary sign in the front and rear of Diamond Head. I move. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Lisi. Any discussion, Councilwoman Lisi?
No, I think that would be great.
Any discussion to my left?
Yeah. Is there a way we can just put it on the same sign?
We're sure hoping. You're thinking like we're thinking.
Just save some money.
And if you want to help us do it,
look into it.
okay. That's a very good suggestion. Any comments to the right? All in favor? Aye. Motion to authorize city manager to review the budget and suggest a budget amendment to provide monthly support to the Friends of the Animal Shelter and present an amendment at the May 21st, 2024 meeting. I so move. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Marr. Councilman Marr, any discussion?
Yeah, I think we have to look at the budget, especially now that we're looking at the budget with the safety issue with the cul-de-sacs. But I think having the animals spayed and neutered is a well worthwhile thing for the future of, the city. So I think if we could just look and see what we can spare, I know there's hardly anything to spare, but at least take a look.
Councilman Clark? And I just feel if we don't spend it on the front end, we're going to spend it on the rear end because we're going to have a menagerie of feral cats. We're going to have dogs. It's just going to be, we had it working well with the $850 a month to the SPCA. They were helping with the vouchers, and now we've got Friends of the Animal Shelter running solo, and they do so many other things. Spay and neuter, we need to promote it. We've got some veterinarians here that work out of their home that accept the vouchers. Plenty of them accept the vouchers. We've got to get people engaged and be very proactive getting the vouchers out. Councilman Cumberland?
No, ma'am.
Councilman Lisi?
No.
Councilwoman Lisi?
No.
Councilman Finley? Okay, all in favor?
Can I ask one thing first? Could this just be annual instead of monthly?
It can be annual, one
Yeah, just one.
donation,
That's
if
how we
that's
did it.
easier.
Much easier.
We are like flexible, as long as we get some vouchers going in here. Okay. All right, all in favor? Aye. A motion to authorize city manager to notify every resident in a project with a notice, when the notice to proceed has been issued to the contractor, and the date of work will begin in their area with not limited to door hangers, Facebook post, and e-blast. I'm gonna move on this. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second, Councilman Finley. My thought on this, and I know you're doing good with the emails, there's plenty of people that don't email. There's a lot of seniors that don't email. Door hangers, you know, we use those at the water sewer district. They go a mile. You put a door hanger on there, and they're all gonna be talking about the door hanger. So, and they don't cost a lot of money, but they go, just like these residents didn't know that it was happening. The biggest complaint I heard on Kaliki and Amoka was the contractor knocked on their door and said, "Excuse me, you need to get your car out the driveway. We're replacing your culvert." And they didn't know. There's nothing you can do to control that, but if you put the door hanger and say the notice to proceed is this date, construction starting in your area, and politely just put the door hangers on the door, everybody that it's impacted on that drainage project, it would help. And put your email like you do, you know, if they email.
I work hard every day to try to
Yes,
do
you
that.
do, you do.
I don't know how much more this is going to help. I mean, we talk about it in every meeting. It's on our Facebook page. I don't see what going door to door is going to take away too much of my time. But certainly, doing everything else that we're doing is the best I can do. If the people respond, is all I got here, is just give back.
Can we look at the door hangers? Because I think they go a long way.
That would take up a lot of my time.
Do we have anybody that could help at City Hall put them out? Usually who do we have put them out at the water sewer?
So we did door hangers, the water and sewer district. The
Mhm.
person that was shutting the water down put the door hangers on. There was always a little bit of free time because usually it was a notice the day before, then you put it out while the water's down, tell them they got a boil water notice. But something that we found very useful that came later was actually a sign that, like, if you're going to be working on this street, you just got a sign at this end of the street and a sign at that end of the street. That saves you a lot of footwork. And a lot of the downsides to the door hangers were which door you're going to hang it on. You know, people park in their garage, then you got the issue of, you didn't give me a door hanger. So it has its upsides and downsides, but the signs were great. And it's a lot less walking up and down the road, knocking on every door. But, yeah, more you can communicate with, and I always found that to be a positive thing.
And door hangers are inexpensive, and neighbors talk. Our neighbors talk. So if you miss a house accidentally, the other neighbor's going to share it. They're all going to be out there talking about it. And you don't have to knock on the door with the door hangers. You put them on the door. It's quick and easy. That's just my thought. Any other comments to my right? All right, all in favor?
Sure.
Aye.
Can I ask another question?
Uh-huh.
All right, so this motion, are we giving this to the city manager at his discretion?
Yes.
Okay, because
All
I'm
right.
not certain if ever you want to hit an e-blast out to everybody in the city if you're just working on Kaliki. So that's how I feel about that.
It's your discretion. Do what you feel's best. This is just out there for you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
2024-114, motion to...
I'm sorry. I'm nay.
Oh, and we have one nay. Councilman Marr is a nay. 2024-114, motion to concur with Planning Commission recommendation to approve the proposed text amendment to the Code of Ordinances, Appendix A, zoning. The proposed text amendment is a comprehensive revision of the zoning ordinance to reflect and envision Diamond Head 2040. The city's comprehensive plan, case file number 202300448. Motion?
Move.
Motion made by Councilman Finley, second.
Second.
Second made by Councilwoman Lisi. Any discussion, Councilman Finley?
No, ma'am.
Any discussion, Councilwoman Lisi?
No, ma'am.
Any discussion, Councilman Cumberland?
No, ma'am.
Councilman Marr?
No, ma'am.
Councilman Clark?
No, ma'am.
City Clerk?
Finley,
Yes.
Lisi,
Yes.
Cumberland,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Marr,
Yes.
Mayor.
No. 2024-113, motion for discussion of the Bowview Drainage Project. Motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilwoman Lisi, second.
Second.
Second made by Councilwoman Cumberland. Discussion, Councilwoman Lisi?
Thank you. I was contacted by a resident, as was the city manager, and Councilman Marr, I think you were also, excuse me, on that email chain, and she had some questions and concerns about the drainage project. And, you know, I know you spend a lot of your time meeting with concerned residents, and you're good about going out, and change orders are not good, but in this case, you indicated to me that perhaps this would be a change order that would be beneficial and probably cost less than what was originally planned. Can you speak to that?
Certainly. Yes, I did speak with the engineer about that project and coming off Golf Club Drive, making a ditch behind the house there on that corner, taking a left and going behind the empty lot, and then the house there on Golf Club Drive.
Excuse me 1 second. Thank you, Bob, for all your hard work.
Oh, thank you.
The format is amazing.
Night, Bob.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Sorry.
No problem. Then from there, it goes into underground culverts. And the project currently designed is to replace, well, not to replace the culvert that's there, but to actually install a second one behind the house of the resident that contacted me, and the house behind it, and then go around behind what is Bowview 2 and out to that detention pond. Speaking with the engineer, the design could be that you eliminate that second culvert underneath that under the ground there behind that neighbor's house or behind that resident's house, and just have the open ditch coming off Golf Club Drive behind that house on the corner, making that left, and then coming into those to the current culvert that's there, and solving or eliminating the problem. The biggest problem there is the current underground culverts, and not able to handle the water on the sides of those coming behind Bowview 2 and the houses there on Golf Club Drive.
Okay, so since you've spoken to the engineer and you both feel that this is a proper way to address this issue, do you need a motion from us to change anything, or did we?
Right. The project is approved as it is, so I can't change anything. He has actually spoken with the contractor in this situation, and the contractor is willing to make the adjustment to the overall scope of the project and remove out the additional culvert that, or landscape culvert or easement culvert
Okay.
that was
So that
required.
will, so that'll have to come back to the council
It's a
as
change
a change
order.
order and the engineer will prepare it, contractor will agree to it, and John, you'll recommend it to the
Yes.
council. That's how that'll
I
work.
can.
Okay, I just wanted to, since it was gonna cost less and be better for everyone, I just wanted to get that ball
Okay. If
rolling
that's
if
the
we
direction of the
could.
council, I can discuss that with, and get him to get that change order.
Okay, thank you.
Who seconded that?
Me?
Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Councilman Finley?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Or I'm sorry.
No, trust
no-
me,
no
it's
vote.
way past my bedtime.
No discussion, sorry.
Okay, Councilman Marr?
No, I agree with what you suggested.
Councilman Clark?
The open ditch is behind the lot, so
Yes.
not the first house on Golf Club, like not on the water tower side, but then there's open lot and then the house.
Well, let's be honest. It's the old yellow house. That's the one we're talking about here.
Right, it's open behind that.
So it's open behind that, coming off Golf Club Drive. It goes behind that house and then makes a hard left.
Right.
And goes behind the empty lot there on Golf Club, and then the lady, and I can't think of the name
Miss
of the.
Sharon Tonto.
Tonto, there you go. And goes behind her house, and then it connects into the next resident's house, which
Miss
is
Betty.
Beverly.
Right.
Betty.
Betty. And so that's where she is. They've got, of course, she's got her crepe myrtles and everything else, and all that would have to get torn out, and the culvert would have to be, a new culvert would have to be replaced. And so this would resolve that problem. We wouldn't have to replace the fencing that's there as well and tear all that trees out of there.
Okay. Open ditch on
So in place of the proposed 30-inch RCAP, which is going the whole length, we're doing an open ditch
That is correct.
on top of the existing, because
Yeah,
there's
well,
an
they're
existing
removing
drain.
all that's getting removed.
Okay, that should have never been there, because I've been through this since the beginning, and that subsurface got put in. That's what made us put a moratorium on landscape culverts, because it was gravely undersized, and I can
can't
tell you the
say.
whole history.
But yes,
And
that
there was
that whole,
3 feet of water
yes,
standing in those
and it's going to be
backyards.
it's going to be an open ditch behind the lot and then the house. But coming off Golf Club Drive behind the old yellow house and making that hard left is actually going to be well, it's riprap, but it's a matted riprap that's going to be down there.
Okay, I think you have your direction.
I'll get that to you at the next council meeting.
All right.
Thank you.
Or hopefully.
2024-115, motion to authorize city manager to negotiate with Oshner Medical Center to acquire land necessary to build a Diamond Head Dog Park, to approve a budget amendment to allocate $50,000 from the general fund for the construction of the dog park, and to amend the master service agreement work assignment with Machado Batano, designed to redesign the dog park plans. Motion.
So moved.
Councilwoman Lisi, second.
Second.
Councilman Finley, discussion. Councilwoman Lisi.
John, I know you've worked really hard with the county and Oshner over the last few months to try to make this work, and it's been really difficult to look at the entire city and find a location that everybody likes. And I don't think we'll ever have one that everybody likes. This
Probably
one
not.
seems to be good.
Right.
As I understand, it's been fully vetted, and Oshner has graciously agreed to let us use their parking lot, so that eliminates the need for that.
That is correct.
I don't think it needs to be clear cut. I mean, one of the locations that was presented before, people were upset because there was no shade. So I don't know what we can do to find the perfect spot. And this does seem to be in an area where traffic is not ridiculous. It's certainly less traffic than Twin Lakes would have had, or the Duck Pond, or some other options that were mentioned before. I'm just ready to get the project done, and I think I hope the rest of y'all are too. I think it's been a long time, and we have the ability to partner, and Oshner's very excited to partner, right?
They have expressed that they're really excited about it. They feel like it's a great opportunity for their business to be showcased.
And it won't back up to any
next year.
houses?
That is correct. To me, there's enough buffer between the 2 houses that are on that road and where we're proposing to put the dog park.
And it's not remote. So I think it's a very good option. I'm for it.
All right, Councilman Finley.
And just to clarify, the last sentence, Machado Batano to redesign the dog park plans. Now, this is already, this would not be new monies. This money's already been allocated, correct?
Yes, they currently have a work assignment which is what I'm asking you to amend that work assignment with them. And they still have some money left on the current open purchase order for this design that they've expressed they would go ahead and design it. And now, will they have to come back with additional monies later or request later? I'm not sure, but from what I've had discussions with him, he would be willing to redesign it wherever we decide to put it.
Thank you, John. That's all I had.
Councilman Marr.
Yeah, I have just a few comments or thoughts. One is, originally we had tabled for 40,000, and now this is for 50,000. So this isn't the final figure. This is just up and arranged to that it might be 40,000. Is that correct?
That's correct. I was just putting a number to it so that we could make sure we have enough to build the dog park itself.
Okay. And then the second thing is, and I talked to you about this earlier, and I just want to make sure that all our searches have, I know you did wonderful getting this done and getting the county and the lawyers and the title people all to work together. But what I'm wondering is, and I mentioned it, and I think maybe Purcell owns the property, but by the kayak launch under the power lines, all that land there, did you at least even approach Purcell to see if he'd be willing to donate that?
It's not really Purcell that I think would be the issue. It's Coastal Electric has that easement there, and I don't believe they would allow. But I can certainly contact them and see if that would be something that
I'm
would be
thinking if
interesting.
you made a wide
But-
enough door for the trucks to get in and out of the dog park
Yeah,
to
they're just
work
not,
on the lines, they wouldn't have an objection. But that's my only concern, is that I do think that would be a nice place too, and maybe at a much lower cost, but that's just me.
As Councilman Lisi said, again, you're talking about a place with no shade. So that's the only downside to that site, but it can be done.
Councilman Clark?
The 50,000 from the general fund, is that from the donations or is that just from the city doing that?
That would be from just the cities.
Okay.
It's a budget request for actually doing this project. The city has never actually budgeted any funds to do this, to build a dog park.
Now those funds, do we have an amount on those funds?
The donated funds?
Yes, sir. Do we have it updated on that?
Yes, my comptroller has that. Hold on.
So the funds donated, or the funds contributed to date, was $27,925, because we had to return $10,000. And then the expenses that would come out of that, because there have never been any money budgeted from the city, was Orion Planning for $2310 for design, Jason Kenichi $1,500 for surveying a parcel, and then Machado Patano $8,525 for the design thus far. So the total expenses was $1,235, which leaves a balance of $15,590.
Yeah, we gotta quit designing it. That's just sick. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, that was it. I was just making sure
Mhm.
what money we also had for, or
Mhm.
that was raised for this also.
All right, Councilman Cumberland?
Yes, so we're negotiating with the Oshner's to acquire the land necessary to build the dog park. So it's Oshner's land and not the county's land?
Once the subdivision goes through,
Yep.
It would be Oshner's property and not the county. The county's gonna keep the library track, and Oshner's gonna keep, like I said, almost 4.4 acres of land, which would be theirs.
So in our negotiation with them, are we leasing this land? Are they gonna donate it to the city, or do we, that's part of the
We'll find the
negotiation?
negotiation. Yeah, we'll
Okay.
figure that out as we go.
All right. So the county then, I was kind of under the impression the county was getting involved in this, so none of this land is gonna be theirs then?
Correct. The county's involved right now because it's all one plat, or one big huge parcel, and so it's getting subdivided, which it should have been originally when it was sold to Oshner, but
I got you.
just sort of fell through the cracks, I guess, or so.
Yeah.
So we're getting it all split up. The road is going to get also subdivided out and then dedicated back to the city for us to maintain. Not that we don't do that already, but legally it'll be ours to take care of. And then, like I said, the other two parcels, the library parcel and then the Oshner portion.
I like the location. I like the idea that we have plenty of parking there, and they're offering to help us with that. And you feel good about the partnership so far with your meetings with them?
I do. With my meetings, I've met with them 3 times, I think, and they are very excited about this and feel this would be a great opportunity and addition to that area. And just so all of you know, at this point, no additional expenses will occur until we get this parcel taken care of and get the lease or donation or whatever it works out to be. Like I said, Machado's already has the open purchase order, and that would be their last cost that they would charge us for the design. So at this time, there would be no additional cost.
All right, that leaves me with comments. Are you finished?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
All right. So I was with Councilman Cumberland. I thought the county owned all of the parcel, which they currently do. It just didn't get recorded. So to this day, we don't know how much is allowed for the dog park, because it has not been subdivided. That's got to come before. They've got to submit a permit to come and do the subdivided and get all the paperwork done so we even know what size the property is, if it's viable. I'd like to see us table this and wait till we get to the point where we see the property, the size of it, if it's gonna work, if it's doable, before we put any more money in it. Because those residents worked so hard for that $30,000, and it's getting eaten up by nothing, by engineers getting money. No offense, engineers.
As I said, ma'am, there would be no additional cost at this time. This is simply for us to get moving on, getting the negotiations with Ochsner.
And I would like to see the property, the size of the property, where the property's located. Now, I'm looking at a few items on the spreadsheet. So part of the fundraising was selling nameplates to go on. So we have to have specific items, because those were already sold for nameplates to go on them. The water fountain, those are $4,000 a piece, that's $8,000. The hitching post is $1,500. The fence that our Ryan Planning had said that we need to use, which is the decorative fence like Pastor Christian has, that can run $30 to $35 a foot. It was estimated at $33,000 for 1,100 lineal feet that we had on the other proposed. $50,000 is just not going to get it, is what I'm trying. So if we could wait, hold off, the only money we're spending, Moran and Machado were a company. I just want to put that out there, but they split up, so I'm going back to the 2000s on this. It's Machado Patano now. If we could hold off, and table it till you get the property, let you go ahead and let you don't even need the work assignment. You already have that approved. That's open-ended. They still could work on it and get it. Well, I'm in agreement to amend it to let them look at what the property is, but not to allocate any funding till we see it's viable. That's where I'm at on it. And we need to look at the brick pavers. Those were already donated. That's other items. There's a lot of moving parts on this that we have to look at. It's not just picking a site and putting a fence. Okay.
So we were gonna donate the 40,000 before, but we took that off the table. So if we use this 50,000, I mean, is it?
So the 40,000 was in addition to all the money that was raised and 225,000 in grant funding.
Which we're not gonna use at this site, the
No, we
225.
can't use it.
Was that for the dog park?
Mhm.
$225,000?
It was a fishing pier.
I beg to differ. That was not for the dog park, was
Mhm.
it?
Yes, it was.
It's not what I was told.
Well, it was. It was for the fishing pier, the walk. We worked on this for a lot of years, so maybe we should have explained it better. So with that being said, I'm not in favor of putting any money. I'm ready to give 50,000 right here to Kaliki and not think twice about it, but I'm not in favor on that. So, guess we're ready for a city clerk.
Well, I'm not ready.
Okay,
Yes.
Councilman Finley?
So you said you were, you said that you were okay if we were to look into it, but we're not spending any money, and that's basically where we are here. We're not spending any money, so are we?
Or take out to approve a budget amendment to allocate 50,000, I'd be okay with it. And let's see what the real dollar amount is, because it's not 50. It may
to
be.
review budget and suggest a budget amendment.
I
That's
like that.
To review
Mhm.
and to suggest. Okay. I'm okay with review and suggest a budget. That doesn't mean he's gonna suggest, that doesn't mean we say yes.
Okay. I agree with that, Councilman Finley. So does the person that made the motion agree with the amendment?
This is just to ask for a budget amendment. That would have to come at the next meeting separately.
And I just.
Are you okay with amending your motion to what Councilman Finley said?
No, I was agreeing, but I was
Oh.
reading from his,
Mhm.
The motion is to authorize the city manager to review the budget and suggest a budget amendment to provide, it doesn't, oh Lord,
No, but I like that wording. That needs to be on this.
I'm
Let's
sorry.
suggest it, not allocate it.
okay. Could we change it to
You, so Councilwoman
review
Lisi,
budget
yes.
and suggest?
Like I said.
There's a motion on the table.
Okay, Councilwoman Lisi, are you okay with amending your motion?
It's not my motion.
You made the motion.
Well, I mean, I made the motion, but I didn't write it, so,
Well, you can amend the motion.
I am fine with amending it. I do want to mention one thing I forgot to say. The director of I think you know this, the director of water and sewer has indicated their willingness to talk to their board about seeing what they can, how they can partner with us in hooking up water there. They said there's already water on site. That's another added benefit to that location. And, you know, whatever we decide to do, I'm just tired of being portrayed as the person with a wicked plan to kill the dog park and being accused of stealing the money. And so if this does not pass today, I was for it. So just carry on.
Okay, so the motion's been amended to suggest a budget amendment to allocate from the general fund. That motion has been amended by Councilwoman Lisi and second by Cumberland.
What?
Was you the one that seconded?
No.
I think I did.
Okay, so are we all okay with the amended version?
Can you,
I'm okay with it.
All right.
can you read it again, please?
Councilman Finley?
I was too getting heckled from the crowd.
Motion to authorize city manager to negotiate with the Austin Medical Center to acquire land necessary to build a dog park and to suggest a budget amendment. So it'd be remove approve and add suggest a budget amendment to allocate $50,000 to the general fund.
Not 50, so suggest
To suggest,
amendment to the budget from the general fund. We don't know what it is.
okay, I can live with that too. That's
Who's making that motion?
I am.
There's a motion on the table by Councilmember Lisi.
So I'm fine with the amendment.
Okay.
Councilman Finley, you're okay with the second?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I just want to make sure, for the record, that we have the wording correct, because we kind of keep cutting off halfway through, so could
Okay,
y'all
go ahead.
go over it from the beginning all the way to the end? Thank you.
Here I come. Motion to authorize city manager to negotiate with the Austin Medical Center to acquire land necessary to build the Downhead Dog Park, to suggest a budget amendment to allocate monies from the general fund for the construction of the dog park, and to amend the master service agreement work assignment with Michelle Batano Design to redesign dog park plans.
Thank you. Now, there's still a motion.
Well, Councilmember Lisi says she's okay with amending it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So there's a motion to amend,
Shane second.
and Shane seconded.
And now vote.
You have to vote on the amendment and then vote on the original motion as amended. You have two votes.
And and just to be clear, who made the motion?
Lisi and Finley.
The same two.
Okay, just making sure.
Mhm.
So now to vote on the amendment.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And then now vote on the original motion as amended.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Moving on to motion to approve the docket of claims DKT 231709, DKT 231734 in the amount of $84,212.23.
So move.
Motion made by Councilman Cumberland. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Clark. All in favor?
Aye.
And I'm a no. Public comments. First, we have Mr. Harry. This is non-agenda. Jesse, I think you were first. Okay, Harry, wait, can you sit down? I'm so sorry. Just right there is good. Jesse?
Hi, I'm Jessie Harwood. I live at 553 Golf Club Drive. And I just want to thank you all first for everything you do, your commitment to public service for the city of Diamond Head. I know that y'all all deeply care about all of the residents and what all of the residents want for the city of Diamond Head, so I really appreciate that. I am also representing Ward 3. I represent Ward 3 on the Planning and Zoning Commission for the city of Diamond Head. And I have a concern about social media. I often rely on social media to, keep informed about current events in our city. So I'm always reading those and looking for those, and so I look at your 8 p.m. update every night. Well, on Friday, I went to read the mayor's 8 p.m. update, and for the first time, I asked a question in the comments on Facebook. My question was, don't attorneys bill by the hour? Because she was talking about comparing different cities. We don't know which ones. Well, I returned later to see if I received the answer or a reply, only to find my comment was deleted and I was blocked from the official Mayor Nancy DePrio's Facebook page. I later saw that another person's comment was deleted, and that person was also blocked by the Mayor Nancy DePrio's Facebook page. I don't think that comments should be cherry-picked if someone's going to be using their, title and deciding who can read, because now I can't read them. I can't read your update. So I don't think any resident should be blocked. I think if a public official is going to use their social media to inform residents, it should be fair and factual. And everyone should have access to it. So to this day, I still haven't received my answer. And my question was, and maybe somebody can, answer me later, I would like to know what specific cities you were using in the comparison and whether or not our city attorneys bill by the hour, because I just wanted to clear that up. That was my question. And if I have any seconds left, I would like to also ask, I was here when John Berdecka was here with the Hancock County Library, and he was asking for consideration for next year that we budget more for the library. So I just wanted to remind y'all, and I hope we are doing that, because I think a lot of us use that and a lot of our residents use it. And lastly, I did organize a fundraiser for the dog park a couple of years ago where we raised money for the dog park, and I like the location near Oshner. So I think it's great to look into. One more thing. I just want everybody here to know that it is very hard to hear when you're sitting out here and there are people, the room is full and they're all talking to each other. It's hard to hear what y'all are saying and what the person speaking is saying. So I think it's out of respect for everyone here, there needs to be a little bit more order and not have people talking the whole time. You can't hear. It's hard to hear.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Harry? And Harry, I do want to hear everything you have to say, but I'm going to have to leave for 5 seconds. But you can go ahead and start. I will watch the video.
Well, I come to these meetings quite frequently. And, one of the things that I'm really getting to is a frustration when I come and I find out that the questions aren't answered like they should be. Give you, for instance, I've been complaining about the lights on Jex since last October. Today we find out that they're going to bid it out. I have 2 council people that Jex is in your wards. I've never heard y'all ask the question to the man. Okay, did we send a repairman out to check it out? Was there an electrician involved? Did the electrician say it was gonna cost $50,000, $60,000? And that's why we have to go to the engineering company? Nobody asked the questions. The man's just doing his job. Best thing for him to do when something goes wrong, ask the engineering company. And so what does he do? That's exactly what he does. But y'all don't ask what's wrong. Maybe an electrician can go out there and turn the switch. Yeah. I'm frustrated about the fact that with this dog park, we've been doing the dog park for God knows how long, okay? Probably before I got here, okay? We're still up in arms, okay? You got half the town that doesn't want it where you're gonna put it. You got half the town that does. You got the group that got together and did all their homework, okay? And you ousted them. Y'all did. Okay? Now, this gentleman has the authority to create the, what is it, I don't know what you call them, the steering committees, okay? You did it in what was it, December? How many steering committees do you have? You don't have anybody looking at anything. You don't have anybody now looking at the dog park and saying, hey, yeah, to me, okay, that's a good retail place. You want retail, okay? That whole corridor there should be retail. It shouldn't be a dog park, you know? The suggestion at the kayak is a perfect one, okay? There's another spot somewhere on Diamond Head East, okay, that is vacant, okay? It's have power lines there, okay? But to put it next to Oshner and for them to say that it's going to help their business, I guess they're going to open up a vet. Yeah. Kaliki.
Your time's up.
Well,
We hadn't been keeping the time, so we'll waive it.
Your time's up.
We hadn't been.
well, you
keeping
don't want to hear what I really have to say about Kaliki, okay?
It wasn't on
you
for
know,
Jesse.
Because Kaliki, if you went out there, did you go out there?
Yeah, I've seen it.
What do you think? What do you
Well,
really think?
We talked about it earlier. We had multiple discussions about
Are
it.
you
What'd hear?
satisfied with the work the engineers did?
They're
Because
not
I tell you
finished.
what,
They're
I'm
still
not,
working on it.
yeah, I'm
That's
not
what we
an
came up with.
engineer. I'm not an engineer, okay? But I saw a driveway, two of them, where there's a culvert that's probably 20 feet long. You got a single driveway, and it's got a foot on one side and another 3 feet to the next one. And you got, in this direction, 10 feet. Why didn't they connect those? Would you have connected them? That's the kind of stuff that doesn't make any sense to me. And nobody says anything. It's an engineering problem, okay? And as far as these people, I guarantee you that if it was at your house or your house or your house and they were tearing it up, you would expect them to put it back in.
And that's why we
where-
had that discussion tonight, and I think that's what we came up with it, did we not?
But why
So
is
why
it?
he's turning it around on us and
why
making it look
is
like
it-
we're bad?
No, what it is the engineers should never have let it happen. 4 feet? You raise your kids in that neighborhood. I don't live there, but I saw it. It's crazy. And property values, you know property values.
Yeah.
What do you think's gonna happen back there?
I have no clue because it's not gonna be left at 4 feet. We just had that discussion
We just
tonight.
solved that problem.
You can't,
It shouldn't be having to be solved tonight.
Well,
It
you
should
know,
have
let me
been
ask you
taken
this.
care of.
you have a mayor that just voted against paying the light bill. You're worried about the Gex Drive light. She just voted against paying the light bill. That was on the docket of claims. You're okay with that?
No,
The mayor's voting against paying a
You never
large.
tell us what you're against paying.
Well,
You
I
just
think
vote
if you
against
read
the
my
docket of
APM
claims.
post, you'll know why. But I mean, this
I don't
isn't
like
about me.
hearing the same lies that you told in the last meeting. That's why I
This
don't read
isn't
it.
my discussion. We have a nice resident up here talking. We're not supposed to be going back and forth arguing. We're supposed to
I agree, but I'm
listen.
just saying his time was
So
up.
continue. Sorry.
Well, the whole thing is that instead of the arguing, and instead of giving all the power to John, you should be taking some of that power back. Y'all should be getting steering committees together for projects, not engineering projects, okay? I'm not talking about that, but the dog park. Do you really want to know what people think?
Of course.
Then why didn't y'all put it together? Same thing with Jex. If Jex needs to be going to an engineer, you want the engineer to make up his mind what it's supposed to look like? Or do y'all want to make the decision? No, you just put it in the hands of the engineer.
Well, that's our state statute. I mean, that's what we're supposed to do.
Okay, we're not back and forth here.
We're talking about steering, okay? The final decision rests with this man.
Right.
Okay? And then when he makes a decision, he's got to get your approval. Well, let it go that route. But instead, now he's got another job, okay? He's got to turn around and put a steering committee together, or, he's just going to make the decision, okay? And come hell or high water, it's done. And that's not what should be happening. We're small. We're just a small town. We have the ability here to almost have a perfect environment.
I agree with you.
Okay? Well, that means getting the people involved. And you have people like this gentleman over here, okay, who just went through and told you what was wrong with the fence permit, the fence ordinance. What are you going to do about it?
I liked it.
Is he right?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Oh, I agree with him 100%.
100% right.
Yes, he's
I
right.
put up my fence, okay, and when I did, I got the permit, and what was I told? Okay, I had to put the good side out. I'm the one that paid for everything, okay? Now, that ordinance, and this gentleman told me that's the way it was. You have AJ out there right now, right? They got a fence up in the new subdivision.
All right, Mayor, at some point we gotta say.
Okay.
that's enough.
Okay.
All right, I'll stop.
Barry, I know you're
May-
here, but
hey,
you love it just like we do. We love Diamond Head. I get it. I understand why
Wait a
you're
minute,
here.
you got AJ out there, okay, you got a permit from the gentleman right there on putting up a fence, okay? In the new subdivision, and where's the fence facing?
Is it
Inside.
inward?
Huh?
Ooh. And that's in the new subdivision?
That's in the new subdivision.
Good night.
Okay.
And you want to see whose car is next to it? Slidell Police.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Harry. Can I
Thank you,
get a
Harry.
motion to adjourn?
Move.
Motion made by Councilman Finley, second by Councilman Cumberland. All in favor? Aye. Y'all have a blessed night. Thank you all for coming.